नेतृत्व में हमारी एनडीए की सरकार ने जो एक सकारात्मक निर्णय लिया है, उसके द्वारा होने वाले इस सकारात्मक पक्ष को वो स्वीकार करने को तैयार नहीं रह रहे हैं। वैसे कर्नाटक में सर्वे में उन्होंने 165 करोड़ रुपए लगाए हैं और आप कह रहे हैं रीसर्वे कराएंगे। और याद करिए, कर्नाटक के डिप्टी सीएम मात्र साल भर पहले की बात है, यह भी बोल चुके थे कि सर्वे जारी नहीं होने दूंगा। यह ऑन रिकॉर्ड दिया गया बयान था, वहां खुद ही घमासान हो रहा था। तो अब पहले मैं उनसे पूछना चाहता हूं कि आपने कर्नाटक में सर्वेक्षण कराया तो पहले गलत कराया था क्या, या फिर रीसर्वे क्यों करवा रहे हैं? अब तेलंगाना में कह रहे हैं कि करवाएंगे फिर से। और तेलंगाना में जो आपने सर्वेक्षण कराया है उससे जो अनुपात निकल के आया, मैं राहुल गांधी से सीधा पूछना चाहता हूं, उस अनुपात में मंत्रिमंडल में परिवर्तन किया कि नहीं? आज सबसे ज्यादा ओबीसी मंत्री मोदी जी की सरकार में है। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं, तेलंगाना में कितने ओबीसी मंत्री हैं? और मैं राहुल गांधी जी से यह भी पूछना चाहता हूं और कांग्रेस पार्टी से कि 2014 में जब डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी की सरकार ने इस्तीफा दिया, कितने ओबीसी मंत्री थे? 2-3 भी नहीं थे पूरी कैबिनेट में। इसलिए इससे बहुत साफ हो जाता है कि इनका उद्देश्य समाज के अंदर भ्रम पैदा करना और अपने परिवार के हाथ में सत्ता रखना है। चूंकि वह उद्देश्य बिखरता हुआ नजर आ रहा है, इसलिए इस प्रकार के प्रपंच, झूठ और मिथ्या प्रचार का सहारा लिया जा रहा है।
We have a breaking news coming in for you. Another Air India Boeing 787 aircraft operating from the national capital to Dubai, AI143, which was to depart at 4:50 p.m. in the evening, and return time of the departure from Dubai stands cancelled for the day. This is in fact another Air India technical snag that has come to the fore, the third one in the last few hours. In fact, in the last 12 hours, this is the third technical snag in the Air India flight. Alright, so this is another Air India Boeing 787 aircraft operating from Delhi to Dubai, which has been cancelled. And this is shocking because just a while back what we learned is that another Air India flight, AI143 Boeing 787 Delhi to Paris, which was to depart at 1:15 p.m. in the afternoon, and that was also put on hold because of the technical issue as far as the hydraulic leak is concerned. And just few hours before that, another Air India flight from Ahmedabad to London was cancelled due to the technical snag, and that was Boeing 788 AI159. Let me go across to my colleague Madhurima, who joins us from the newsroom. Madhurima, back to back we are seeing technical snags as far as Air India is concerned, not just one but multiple in the last 24 hours.
Well, absolutely, Akanksha. What needs to be seen here is that in less than 24 hours, this is the fifth incident coming in from Air India. And in this particular incident, it's a 787 Boeing, which is under the scanner for multiple technical snags, especially ever since that crash that took place in Ahmedabad. What needs to be seen here is that the past few days have been exemplary embarrassing for Air India, though they have been issuing a very AI-generated, very typical statements for a very long time, but there has been no concrete reason given on the part of Air India as to why these multiple delays. We just spoke to multiple passengers as well there in Ahmedabad, where a flight, yet another flight got cancelled and of Air India, and just in few minutes of that flight being cancelled in Ahmedabad, we have yet another incident. It appears like Air India is going all down south. Akanksha, the details as to why this flight was cancelled is yet to be ascertained. We'll bring that as well for viewers.
Absolutely big embarrassment for Air India since morning. Not just one but 3 incidents have come to the fore as far as technical snag is concerned. Madhurima, has any reaction, any statement, be it templated statement, come from Air India so far?
No, Kanksha, no early statement has come from the side of Air India. But remember, even when Air India is issuing statement, they are issuing that templated statement that they send out every time. But nothing seems to be improving, because we've seen multiple cancellations, multiple technical snags, and in just less than 24 hours, this is the 5th case pertaining to Air India where a flight either has been cancelled or delayed, or there were technical snags. So it appears like Air India has multiple issues that they need to deal with, Akanksha.
Absolutely. Madhuriba, keep tracking those details for us. We'll keep coming back to you for more on this. Very shocking news, in fact, coming in that back to back we are seeing that Air India Boeing 787 are being cancelled or put on hold. Now we are shifting our focus to the plane crash tragedy that took place on June 12th. Students jump off buildings to escape. Now video has gone viral, and let us show you the video. In fact, the Ahmedabad plane crash incident was marked by a massive explosion and a terrible fire. Video of the incident are coming out one after the another. Students and staff jumped off the unbelievable building to escape the fire caused by the plane crash. Heartbreaking videos from the scene have gone viral on social media, as well as you can see in the visuals there. Students, teachers jumping off that building after plane crashed in the vicinity of that area. Very disturbing visuals of people trying to save their life. Clearly had happened.
नहीं पड़ा नहीं पड़ा
Let me go across to my colleague Gopi, who joins us from Ahmedabad and who's been tracking this story very closely. Gopi, we have the visuals on the screen right here of students jumping off. First, give us clarity. How far was this building from the place where the crash took place? Tell us about this incident.
Well, in fact, Akanksha, see, if you understand that very site, there were 6 different buildings in the same vicinity of that campus of BJ Medical Hostel. The first hostel was Atulyam Hostel, where the plane crashed. This is the 4th building in that same row, where students are, we can see in that video that students are jumping off the building to save their lives. Now, the 4th, 5th and 6th buildings were not as affected as the 1st and 2nd buildings were. But yes, obviously, the fear, the trauma and the, in fact, voice of that plane crash was horrendous, and precisely why students would have decided to save their life and to jump off that building. As you can see in that video, that was a horrific incident. But yes, let's tell our viewers that the first building, which was the Atulyam building hostel of BJ Medical, there were around 156 students, out of which 50 to 60 were having their meals in the ground floor of that particular building, where the roof fell on those 50 to 60 students. And as per the JDA, which is the Juniors Doctors Association, only 4 students have lost their lives, while 11 were rescued from that very site. But as you can see, this is the 4th building in that same row from the crash site, where students are jumping off the building to save their lives. Back to you.
Absolutely, very disturbing video coming to the fore, and we can see the panic on their faces. As my colleague Gopi has been mentioning, that is the 4th building near the vicinity where the crash took place. The plane crashed on the BJ Medical College. 4 people lost their life. In fact, we have another breaking news coming in as far as Air India is concerned. Air India flight AI143 Boeing B787 Delhi to Paris, which was to depart at 1:15 p.m. Just a while back. The flight is currently on hold after boarding due to the technical issue. Technical issue, what we know so far, is hydraulic leak. This flight, Paris-bound Boeing, got cancelled. Another Another technical snag as far as Air India is concerned has come to the fore, as my colleagues have been mentioning. This is the fifth incident in the last 24 hours. 5 flights so far have witnessed the technical snag, and right now we are telling you about Air India flight AI143 Boeing 787. Remember, Boeing 787 Dreamliner, a different flight a few days back, crashed in Ahmedabad, leading to loss of life as far as 241 people are concerned. Another Boeing 787 operated by Air India AI143 from Delhi to Paris, which was to depart at 1:15 p.m. that has been cancelled, and the reason is the hydraulic leak. Very concerning news, and no response whatsoever till now in the last 24 hours from Air India. All right, so this is the breaking news that we are getting for you. Just a while back, we told you about another incident related to Air India, where the Ahmedabad to London flight got cancelled. The reason that was given to the commuters and the passengers there was of a technical glitch. Another Air India incident, AI143 Boeing 787. This was going from the national capital to Paris, and this has also been cancelled. So in the last 24 hours, 5 such incidents. In the last 4-5 hours, I can tell you that Air India flight from Ahmedabad to London was cancelled because of technical glitch. Then Air India flight from Delhi to Paris, again cancelled because of technical glitch, that is a hydraulic leak. And now Delhi to Dubai flight was also cancelled because of the same reason. Let me now again bring in my colleague Madhurima. Madhurima, we've been speaking about the technical glitch. No response whatsoever from Air India in the last 24 hours. 5 incidents have taken place. Another incident has come to the fore. AI143 Boeing 787. Again, that same Dreamliner, Delhi to Paris, has been cancelled, and the reason again is technical snag. Give us more details on this.
Well, absolutely, Akansha. What needs to be underlined here is it's yet another hydraulic leak. And remember, Akansha, that this was one of the issues that that was highlighted by Boeing whistleblower earlier as well, where he went on to say that the maintenance in the past couple of decades has reduced in Boeing. And also remember, he had highlighted that that he is aware of the fact that a lot of pressure is being put by the Boeing staff to manually make these parts work. He had seen people jumping on those parts, Akanksha, to make them fit. So after such statements that were made by the whistleblower in front of the US Senate, and now the way the situation with Air India is unraveling, Akanksha, what needs to be seen here is one after another, whatever claims that whistleblower had made are coming to be true, and yet another hydraulic leak. And this would be the 6th incident in less than 24 hours. An embarrassing day for Air India, as this yet another flight has been put on hold. Interestingly, once again, it is a 787 Boeing Dreamliner. Akansha.
Absolutely. 787 Boeing Dreamliner was the one which suffered that tragic incident just 6 days back, and now we are seeing back-to-back technical snags despite being alerted by the whistleblower too last year. Now, West Asia is on the edge again. Ambassador Deepak Vora explains India's balanced stance on Israel-Iran conflict. With strong ties to both the nation, India promotes dialogue and diplomacy without choosing sides. He highlights India's strategic autonomy, its role as a voice for the global south, and the importance of peace in the global affairs. Have a look at this report.
Vande Mataram. My name is Ambassador Deepak Vora, and I am Special Advisor in some African countries. We are going to talk today about an issue that is exercising a lot of minds, and I read a lot of stuff in the Indian and international media about the challenge that India's diplomacy faces because of the conflict between Israel and Iran, both friends of India. Let me set this in perspective. We never allow our relationship with any one country to determine our relationship with another country. Chanakya had said something very interesting 2,400 years ago, that my enemy's enemy can be my friend. He did not say that my friend's enemy must also be my enemy. We are friends with both. We compartmentalize our relationship. As far as Israel is concerned, the relationship has a very strong defense component. It has a very strong agricultural component and education and high technology. With Iran, we were major importers of oil, but because of American pressure and sanctions, we do not import oil from Iran at the moment. So that can be ruled out. Anybody who says that we're not going to be able to get oil from Iran and oil prices in India, therefore, will rise as a result of that is talking nonsense. Essentially, I'm sorry to be rough, but that doesn't make any sense. However, the Chabahar port, which we have invested in and which was to provide an alternative route to Central Europe and beyond, bypassing Atankistan. Now that is a major issue. Nevertheless, some time ago there was an attack on the port. Some people, some Baloch rebels or some others attacked the port. There were some people who died. Nevertheless, it bounced back. As far as the present conflict is concerned, we've made it clear to all concerned that this is not a way out. When the Israeli Prime Minister spoke to his Indian counterpart, and they respect each other enormously, we said very clearly that we have to find a solution through dialogue and diplomacy. And since we know both, if you would like us to help in any way, it doesn't mean mediation. That's a very dangerous term. But we are ready to talk to both sides and say, okay, tigers, it's time for you to cool down. So, as far as Iran is concerned, we are not going to dilute our relationship because of Israel. As far as Israel is concerned, we are not going to compromise our relationship with Israel because of Iran. Now, those who understand this about India have understood the essence of Indian diplomacy, which is the best in the world. Take it from me, Chanakya had said, the first thing for any nation to be a great power, and he was talking 2,400 years ago. First is leadership. We have the best in the world. And second, it's influence that comes through its diplomacy. Here again, we have the best diplomacy in the world. I have been in diplomacy 52 years and counting. I'm 74 years young. Let me assure you, I've never seen this kind of cohesion as far as our diplomatic efforts are concerned than I am seeing now. It's no longer just the Ministry of External Affairs, or it's no longer the other ministries. It's no longer all of government. It's an all of people approach. And today I find, as the Prime Minister had said, there should be Jan Bhagdari in diplomacy. I find that the people are very interested in what India is doing and its reputation overseas. Let me also tell you that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to attend the G7 meeting. Of course, the Israel-Iran issue will be discussed at this meeting in Canada, but the Prime Minister has also made it clear that he will be representing the voice of what we refer to as the Global South. 125 countries, no one listens to them. He will be their ambassadors. This is the strength of Indian diplomacy. When we speak to the world, it's not just as Bharat. We're also speaking on behalf of another 125 countries. And I conclude by saying that on my WhatsApp group, an American general, a former general, we have a large group, academics, professors, we have military people, I have Congress people all across the world. One of them sent me a message saying, Mr. Ambassador, the Iran-Israel conflict can either be resolved bilaterally or with the intervention of one of the four superpowers of the world. Listen to this carefully. He said, of course, the United States is very partisan, so nobody will listen to them. Russia is involved in Ukraine, so that dilutes its credibility. Nobody trusts China. That's number 3. He said that leaves one superpower that everybody respects, and he used the name Bharat. I can tell you that I'm 6'2". At that moment, I stood 6 feet 8 inches tall. All I'll say is, we will find a solution. We will help. They have to resolve it bilaterally, but we are ready to do what we can. India's target is a developed nation by 2047. We would like to achieve that. We don't want the world to be in conflict, the world to be in war. We want a peaceful world that helps everybody, including India. Thank you for your attention.
We have another breaking news coming in. Indigo Goa Delhi flight 6E6811, which took off from Goa on Monday 16 June at 4 p.m. experienced major turbulence 10 minutes after the takeoff. The flight was immediately after takeoff couldn't be balanced, and after some time pilot managed to control the flight with the help of the air traffic controller. Major accident has been averted. This is as far as the Goa to Delhi flight is concerned, and this time the flight is of the Indigo, which took off on 16th June at 4 p.m. and experienced major turbulence 10 minutes after taking off.
After a short vacation from Goa, returning back to my ghar, which is in Lucknow. This flight is going from Goa to Lucknow, direct flight. 2.25 घंटे की भयानक फ्लाइट के बाद अब हम लखनऊ ऊपर वाले के से लैंड कर चुके हैं। लेकिन आपको ये बता दूं कि जब ये जो फ्लाइट है 6C6811 ये गोवा से लखनऊ डायरेक्ट फ्लाइट है और ये 2.25 घंटे की फ्लाइट है। लेकिन जैसे ही ये फ्लाइट टेक ऑफ करी, ये पूरे की पूरी फ्लाइट ऊपर से नीचे अपसाइड डाउन आ गई। शायद ये वो महसूस कर सकते थे जो एयर इंडिया अहमदाबाद में क्रैश हुई है, उसके पैसेंजर्स महसूस कर सकते थे। आज हमने वही मौत का मंजर महसूस।
With this, we're taking a very short break. Coming up on the other side, United States moved 30 Air Force bomber aircraft closer to Europe. We'll also tell you about Prime Minister's arrival in Canada. He will be attending the G7 summit. We'll tell you about these two stories and much more after this very short break. Stay with us.
आपकी फेवरेट हुंडई कार्स पर मिल रही है अमेजिंग डील्स। वैसे लोगे तो आप हुंडई ही, चाहे दिल की सुनो या डील्स की, तो जल्दी चले आओ हुंडई शोरूम।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल। ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े। क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Technical reasons, sir, would like to stay closer to Hong Kong. Aviation, say again.
% ಇರಬೇಕು ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಓಕೆ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ
This is India and we are living here. You are nobody to tell me what I have to do.
A fresh language-related confrontation has surfaced in Bengaluru, highlighting the ongoing Kannada language debate. An elderly man clashed with a woman shop owner over the compliance of the state government rules for commercial signboards. In the 44-second clip that has now gone viral, the shop owner accuses the elderly man of torture over English signboard, saying, "This is Kannada land."
ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದವನು, ಈ ನೆಲದವನು, ಕನ್ನಡ 60% ಇರಬೇಕು ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಓಕೆ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ.
This is India and we are living here. You are nobody to tell me what I have to do.
The man then confronted her, demanding to change the signboard to comply with Kannada language rules.
This man is torturing me to change the board to Kannada. Already my board is having Kannada.
The shop owner insisted that a text in Kannada is already written on the board, but the man continues to argue that the Kannada text must cover 60% of it. The man later threatened the shop owner, saying he will file a complaint against her. In the video, the woman is also seen questioning the elderly man over his request.
Who are you to tell me?
I will public. I Karnataka.
To which he replies that he is a public citizen from Karnataka and has every right to point out the signboard. The Kannada Language Comprehensive Development Act of 2024 requires that 60% of all commercial, industrial, institutional and public signboards in Karnataka be in Kannada, which has previously sparked outrage in the state. The Act also says that the Kannada text must occupy the upper half of the board, with the remaining 40% allowed in any other language.
And with this, we're taking a very short break. Coming up on the other side, United States has moved 30 Air Force bomber aircrafts closer to Europe. And Donald Trump has contradicted Macron's statement on Iran-Israel ceasefire, says that Macron has no idea on why he cut short his G7 summit visit. Trump hints at something bigger than the ceasefire. This and much more on the other side. With this, a short break.
You can see behind me the American embassy in Tel Aviv, and this is not damaged from the outside at least, but still all the places next to the embassy suffering from a damage. Here behind me is the center of Tel Aviv, and Iranian ballistic missile hit here, and the destruction is massive. Many residential buildings all over destructed, devastated, and they can collapse any moment. Iran targeting civilian areas. There are no military targets here, just regular people living here. A lot of shops destroyed and places for around 300 meters all around are destroyed.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
विमल में गुलिस्तां की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
Ini filo. Wow, bebate ziku.
As you can see behind me, this is the result of the latest barrage of rockets fired at our residential communities by Iran. It's continuing the pattern as we're seeing each and every one.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
I have seen what it takes to report from the front lines. Accuracy, courage, urgency, and responsibility. At Republic School of Journalism, you will be trained for that reality. It is not theory. It is live learning from inside a working newsroom from day one. If you want to report the truth when it matters the most, Republic School of Journalism is where you begin. Course begins on the 30th of June. Apply now.
Massive crisis hits Indian aviation crisis. Multiple Air India flight reports technical snag. Delhi-bound Indigo flight emergency lands in Nagpur. Passengers deplaned after the technical snag. Under 10 Indian students evacuated from Tehran amid escalation in Israel-Iran hostilities. Students across over border to Armenia. Trump contradicts Macron's statement on Israel-Iran ceasefire, says Macron has no idea what he said and why he has cut short his G7 visit. Trump hints at something bigger than the ceasefire. PM Modi in Canada to attend the G7 summit to meet Zelensky on the sidelines of the summit. We have a breaking news coming in. Israeli Air Force completes several extensive strikes on the military targets of the Iranian regime in western Iran. And during these strikes, dozens of surface-to-surface missile storages and launch infra were struck. In addition, surface-to-air missiles, launchers and UAV storage sites were also stuck in the western Iran. So as you can see in the visuals, these are the attack by the Israeli Defense Forces. All right, so as you can see in the visuals, these are in fact, this is the attack that has been done by the Israeli forces. They have destroyed Iran's military target is what we are learning. In the last 5 days, we've been seeing attack and counter-attack by both the nations. And just a while back, IDF had also issued the statement on Iran Chief of Staff Ali Shadmani also being killed. And we have another breaking for you. Iran has issued a fresh statement hours after the G7 nations slammed the country. Iran said that Israel is the main cause of instability and war in West Asia and that they have violated articles under the UN Charter. A statement that has come from Iran as far as the G7 summit is concerned. Remember earlier in the day, the G7 nations had issued a statement. They had passed a resolution and I quote that, "We, the leaders of G7, reiterate our commitment to peace and stability in the Middle East. In this context, we affirm that Israel has a right to defend itself. We also support for the security of Israel. We also affirm the importance of protection of civilians. Iran is the principal source of regional instability and terror." A big statement that had come from G7 countries. After that, Iran has issued a fresh statement slamming the countries. Iran said that Israel is the main cause of the instability and war in West Asia. All right, so let's now get you more visuals from across Iran and Israel. As you can see on the screen, that is the video one of IDF taking out the command centers there in Iran. Several places have been targeted by Israel in the last few days, the capital of Tehran and other places as well, the nuclear facilities and the top military commanders as well. Let's now show you another video of the Israeli attack, and this in fact is a video of Israel destroying Iran missile launch troops there. The attack by the Israeli forces of destroying the missile launch troops on the visuals right there. Let's now show you another video of Iran launching missile strike on Israel. We've been seeing attack and counter-attack by both the countries, and this is the aftermath of Iran's missile strike on Iran. Several buildings have been damaged there. We are learning that at least 10 people have also lost their life in Israel. Attack and counter-attack in the last few days. The entire region of West Asia is on the boil again. Now look at this video, the next one of Israel missiles hitting the residential building. In the last 5 days, several buildings have been hit, starting Friday when the first residential building was hit. There was a lot of chaos in Israel. In fact, the Prime Minister also visited one of the residential area to take the stock of the situation. Now look at this video of Israel taking down Iran UAV there on the screen, and all these videos have been released by the IDF to show the damage that they have put on Iran in this conflict that is going on. Now look at this video of Israel targeting Tehran airport as well. In the last few days, Israel has targeted not just the main areas but also the nuclear facilities, the airport area as well as the military leaders as well. And that is on your screen. That is Tehran airport that was in target of Israel. Have a look at this video of Iran missile launch, troops eliminated. Several, in fact, military leaders have been killed, and this is one of the videos that has been released by the Israel Defense Forces of the launch troops being destroyed. Have a look at this video of Israel annihilating Iran launch pads as well. Big attack there by Israel Defense Forces as far as the missile launch pads are also concerned. All these prominent areas in Iran have been destroyed by Israel in the last 5 days. In fact, we have breaking news coming in after French President Macron says that Trump has offered ceasefire agreement between Iran and Israel. Trump has slammed Macron, saying that he has no idea on why he is leaving early from the G7 summit. Donald Trump has denied claims of French President Macron on Iran-Israel ceasefire and hints at something bigger on the conflict. And this is what he has said after he had to leave from G7 summit, and then he posted about this on Truth Social. All right, so this is a statement that has come from Donald Trump. He has contradicted French president. Remember earlier that in the day, Donald Trump had to leave from a G7 summit. After that, French president had made a remark that the ceasefire between Iran and Israel is on the cards, after which Donald Trump has come down heavily on the French president. I'm joined by Dan Pfefferman, who joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you so much for speaking to Republic TV. What we're witnessing right now are the statements that have come from the United States. Donald Trump had to leave G7 summit. He had to move back. After that, he said that ceasefire is not on the cards, but there's something bigger. How would you assess this?
It's clear that President Trump in the United States would like to see an end to this conflict. However, they want to see it in a way that actually ends the conflict. It's clear to much of the world, certainly to the United States, the G7, really to most of the Middle Eastern countries, that Iran is the engine of instability and of radicalism and of terrorism in the region. And such an Iran, such as a regime like this, who has been constantly provoking, stoking, and been behind much of the terrorism and conflict in the Middle East, and much of the radicalization around the world in recent decades, cannot be allowed to have a nuclear program. And so Macron's statement that Trump very quickly rushed to correct said ceasefire, and President Trump correctly said, no, we're not talking about a ceasefire. he hinted that we need something that actually ends Iran's nuclear program, that ends their race to the most dangerous weapon in the world. The most dangerous regime in the world cannot have the most dangerous weapon in the world. Otherwise, we will be in conflict after conflict every time the Iranians are able to reconstruct. And just as they did in the last few decades, and we saw this come to the fore on October 7th, when Iranian proxies, unprovoked, whether it's Hamas in Gaza or then Hezbollah in Lebanon or the Houthis in Yemen and other Iranian proxies in Iraq and in Syria, backed an all-out attack on Israel, a good standing member of the international community, and such a regime was on the brink of achieving a nuclear weapon. And according to Prime Minister Netanyahu, there were even intelligence reports that it wanted to transfer some of those nuclear weapons to the Houthis, who have been firing unprovoked, nonstop on Israel since October 7th. And so what we can read into President Trump's statement is that if there is a deal in which Iran truly and verifiably gives up its nuclear program, then, of course, Israel will have achieved its goal, and this escalation can stop.
Well, absolutely. It remains to be seen how this pans out in the next few days. In fact, we have these visuals of United States rushing in bomber aircrafts closer to Europe is what we're learning. These are the visuals we have for you there on the screen. Massive buildup of American air assets in the Mediterranean. You can see that is the Morro Air Base in Spain. And the shortest distance between this air base to Iran is approximately 3,700 to 4,000 kilometers. And there is a direct flight path as well. A fighter jet traveling at a typical speed of 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers per hour could never cover this. In fact, but what we are learning is that United States has rushed in bomber aircraft closer to Europe. Let me once again bring in Dan. Dan, as we were discussing about the situation in US, now what we're learning is that US has moved a lot of fighter jets toward that region. How do you assess this?
I think this is a clear message from the United States that it doesn't wish to escalate, it doesn't wish to get involved, but it's signaling to Iran that Iran better get on board and come to the table in a way that verifiably and once and for all dismantles its nuclear program. The United States and President Trump understand that this is a very dangerous regime that not only speaks in very radical terminology, but has actively been the main engine and backer ideologically, financially, militarily, strategically of radicalism in the Middle East and beyond since the inception of the Islamic Republic in 1979. The United States has so far refrained from entering this conflict, but I think it is clear that if Israel, a much smaller military, a much smaller air force, has achieved complete aerial dominance over the skies of Iran, has taken out all of Iran's air defenses, and has done significant damage to Iran's military and to Iran's nuclear program. The entrance of the most powerful military in the world, the most powerful military to ever exist, frankly, which has munitions, specifically the bunker buster munitions that Israel does not have reportedly, then that will be a major escalation that Iran, which might already be on the verge of collapse, the regime, of course, might already be on the verge of collapse. If the United States enters, this is a whole different level, and the Iranian regime will not be able to stand on its feet. I think this is a signal to the Iranian regime that they better come to the table. Until now, every time the Iranians came to the table of negotiations, it was to buy time, and they never gave any actual meaningful concessions giving up their nuclear program. The Americans mean business here, and they will take this escalation to a level that Israel cannot take it, and that the Iranians will not be able to bear.
Absolutely. Trump, as he has also stated that he has hinted at something bigger. No ceasefire between Israel and Iran yet, but something bigger. So it remains to be seen what it really is. I request you to stay on with us. In fact, we have another breaking news coming in and these visuals coming in from Tehran. In fact, what we're learning is that students there are being relocated from Tehran. Indian students in Tehran have been moved out of the city for reason of safety through arrangements made by the Indian embassy in Iran. The External Affairs Ministry has in fact stated in a statement that other residents who are self-sufficient in terms of transport have also been advised to move out of the city in view of the developing situation. There are as many as 10,000 Indians in Iran. 6,000 of them are students. So this is very important for India to move them to a safer place for their own safety, and that is why we are getting these visuals of these Indian students being moved out to a safer location, and the arrangements have been made by the Indian embassy in Iran. In fact, some Indians have been facilitated to leave Iran through the border with Armenia, and just a while back, External Affairs Minister also spoke with the Armenian counterpart on this. Let me bring in Dan once more. Dan, we are getting these visuals of students in Iran being relocated to safer areas. So situation remains very tense there. We can see in the visuals as well. There is a little bit of chaos. People are moving to safer location. How would you assess this?
Yes, sure. Anytime, of course, there is military conflict, there's going to be chaos on the ground. Something that's worth noting here is that Israel is targeting very specifically and very precisely military and regime installations, and is giving warning to the people of Iran to clear the area, to evacuate so that they're not harmed, while at the same time Iran is specifically targeting Israeli civilian populations. If it wasn't for Israel's billions of dollars spent on air defenses and warning systems and shelters throughout the country, you would see many, many tens of thousands of Israelis, maybe even more, maybe 1 million Israelis killed by the Iranian strikes, because they are directly aimed at Israeli civilian populations. At the same time, Iran has invested the same billions of dollars on missiles and terror groups over the last 20 to 30 years, and not on protecting its own population, something we see entirely consistent across the Iran-led radical axis from Hamas to Hezbollah to the Houthis and others. They spend money on offensive weapons to terrorize civilian populations in the Middle East, while Israel spends that same money on defensive solutions, whether to neutralize the missile attacks or protect civilian populations. And it's stunning that maybe a similar amount of civilians have been killed in Iran as have been in Israel, which shows how much Israel is taking considerable care and caution to avoid harming Iranian civilians, while Iran is doing everything it can to try to target Israeli civilians.
Absolutely. And in the last 5 days, we have seen this escalation between Iran and Israel, with the US also sending the bomber fighter jets towards Europe. How do you think this entire situation will pan out in the next 1 week?
This is a major statement of pressure and of intention by the United States. The United States, of course, under President Trump especially, has made clear that they do not wish to get involved in any more Middle Eastern conflicts. But it is clear that the United States gave Iran, the regime, 60 days to come to the table and negotiate an end to its nuclear program in good faith. The Iranians dismissed it, avoided it, and did everything they could to drag it out. It is clear that the Iranians regime were not willing to part with their military nuclear program. Of course, their people are suffering under sanctions and under a crippling economy. And at the same time, they choose to pump all of their money into proxies and this foolish nuclear program. Israel could not wait by anymore for an existential threat on it. And so this is a further statement of pressure by Washington that it will join the conflict if it has to, in order to end Iran's nuclear program.
The entire situation pans out in the next 1 week. In fact, let us stay on with us, Dan. We have these visuals on the screen of the areas that have been attacked by Israel on Iran in the last 5 days. We have Tabriz there, explosion near Nuclear Research Center, Tehran. That is where the military base is. State broadcaster, remember, their building was attacked yesterday. Natanz, and this is the main nuclear enrichment facility which was attacked last week. Kermanshah, very important place in Iran, refueling plane at the area was also attacked by Israel in the last few days. These are the main areas, be it the nuclear facilities or military bases, nuclear research center, nuclear research site. Airport was also hit by Israel as well. So Dan, Israel has attacked all of these prominent places there, be it their nuclear facilities, military base, etc. And Iran has also hit back at Israel at several places as well. Buildings were destroyed. There have been several deaths that have been reported so far. How would you assess this?
Yeah, you can see a very clear unrolling of a carefully prepared Israeli targeting package that starts with air defenses, missile installations, nuclear program, continues on to the entire leadership cadre of the Iranian military regime and intelligence regime, and then goes after symbolic sites, but also sites that are directly connected to Iran's ability to manage the war effort and the country. You're talking about airports, you're talking about seaports, you're talking about eventually we'll probably start seeing energy installations. There seems to be, from what we're seeing here, an escalation strategy that Israel clearly prepared. And the timing and the coordination of these attacks is something that was clearly prepared years in advance, likely, with a clear understanding of how Iran's government, regime, society, economy, infrastructure work. And so each strike is intended to cripple or destabilize or disable a part of Iran's ability to conduct itself and to wage this war, but it's also meant to be another part of the strategy to show that Israel can continue escalating and continue taking more serious damage from the Iranian regime should it not seek some kind of end to this conflict, which ends verifiably Iran's nuclear military program.
Absolutely. So remains to be seen how it pans out in the next 1 week, but definitely attacks and counterattacks still happening, and it's been 5 days. Thank you, Dan, for giving us those details and speaking to Republic TV. Now we have a breaking news coming in. Footage, in fact, what we are getting is the footage from the center of Iran. Israeli Air Force aircraft targeted by surface-to-air missile and eliminated launch squad within seconds. An Israeli Air Force aircraft operating deep in Iranian airspace identified yesterday a squad firing surface-to-air missile at the aircraft. So we will be getting those visuals for you in just some time. And this is the breaking news that we're getting for you, that Israeli Air Force aircraft have been targeted by the surface-to-air missile and eliminated launch squad within seconds. Now shifting our focus, US President Donald Trump has left the group of G7 summit in Canada a day early due to the situation in the Middle East. French President stated that Trump had made an offer for a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, and earlier President Donald Trump had urged everyone to immediately evacuate Tehran and reiterated that Iran should have signed a nuclear deal with the United States. Trump briefly spoke about his experience at the G7 summit before leaving for the United States. Here is more on the story.
US President Donald Trump has left 1 day early from the G7 summit that is being held in Karnatakum of Canada. Due to the Israel-Iran conflict and the current situation in the Middle East, President Donald Trump headed back to the White House early. Speaking with the press at the G7 summit, Trump shared that he will be heading back after having dinner with the leaders.
Well, I have to be back. Very important. I want to just
thank our great host. You did a fantastic show. Thank you with Canada. But you probably see what I see. I have to be back as soon as I can. Gonna have dinner with these wonderful leaders, and then I get on the plane. I have to be back early.
President Trump reflected on the meeting and said that a lot got done. He said that the other leaders understand that he has to leave early. Trump was seen boarding an airplane at Calgary Airport to head back to the United States.
Well, the leaders of G7 nation, Canada, France, Germany, Italy and Japan, the United Kingdoms and the US have voiced their support for Israel, and they have issued a statement. European Foreign Minister have also urged Iran to, in fact, as far as negotiation with the United States and avoid escalating conflict with Israel. Donald Trump dramatically left the G7 summit in Canada a day early to rush back to Washington with the French president, claiming that US leader was considering the prospect of ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Meanwhile, Trump condemns Macron's statement by saying something bigger than ceasefire is coming. India has begun evacuating its nationals from Iran amid the escalating tensions between Tehran and Israel. The first batch of 110 Indian nationals who have safely crossed into Armenia will fly to the national capital tomorrow. MEA has urged Indian nationals living in Tehran to evacuate and contact the embassy. The military exchanges worsened between Israel and Iran overnight. Israeli strikes hit multiple locations in Iran, including its capital, Tehran. Indian Air Force completed several extensive strikes on military targets of the Iranian regime in the western Iran. During the strikes, dozens of surface-to-surface missile storage and launch infra was struck. In addition to this, surface-to-air missile launchers and UAV storage sites was struck in western Iran. Iran's missiles have struck deep inside Israel, causing significant damage to the key infrastructure. One of the hardest hit sites is the Haifa oil refinery, where pipelines and transmission lines were damaged in the assault. The attack marks a major escalation in the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict, raising concerns over the regional stability and the potential for a broader war. Now, despite the damage, Israeli authorities report no casualty and say that core refinery operations are still active. We're taking a very short break. Coming up on the other side, massive crisis hits India's aviation sector. Multiple Air India flights report technical snag and cancellation. Passengers have been left stranded.
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ गुलें तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबां में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबां कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबां कैसी?
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
Technical reasons, sir, would like to stay closer to Hong Kong.
Aviation, say again.
Technical reasons, sir, would like to stay closer to Hong Kong. Maybe we will come back and land back into Hong Kong.
Well, good afternoon, viewers. You're watching live and breaking now. I'm Rakshita Mishra with you. Let's get started with all the top stories making headlines at 2:30. Massive crisis hits India's aviation sector. Multiple Air India flights report technical snags and cancellations. Passengers left stranded. Delhi-bound Indigo flight emergency landing in Nagpur. Passengers deplaned after technical snag. A 110 Indian students evacuated from Tehran amid escalation in Israel-Iran hostilities. Students cross over border to Armenia. Trump contradicts Macron's statement on Israel-Iran ceasefire, says Macron has no idea on why he cut short his G7 visit. Trump hints at something bigger than ceasefire. And Prime Minister Modi in Canada to attend the G7 summit to meet Zelensky on the sidelines of the summit. Breaking news coming in right now, viewers. Just after the recent terrorist attack in Kashmir's Pahalgam, top US security experts have strongly criticized Pakistan, calling for it to be officially designated as a state sponsor of terrorism. Asim Munir has been directly accused of supporting terrorism, equating him with Osama bin Laden in terms of threat and ideology. That's the breaking news we have right now. Asim Munir humiliated in the United States outside the hotel. That's what you're hearing about Asim Munir in the United States. Top security expert has compared him to Osama bin Laden. That's the breaking news we are getting in right now. If I go further, quoting what has been said about him, a former Pentagon official and senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute has called for the United States to officially label Pakistan as a state sponsor of terrorism. He also pointed to Pakistan's Army Chief Asim Munir, saying that he's no different from Osama bin Laden, accusing him of supporting terrorism, and said that the only difference between Osama bin Laden and Asim Munir is that Osama bin Laden lived in a cave and Asim Munir lives in a palace. But beyond that, the two are the same, he says, and their end should also be the same. That's the breaking news we have. And in fact, former Pentagon official says that Asim Munir and Osama bin Laden are the same. Massive embarrassment for Pakistanis in the United States. Asim Munir humiliated, and how in the United States the so-called field marshal been compared to terrorist, Al-Qaeda terrorist Osama bin Laden, the mastermind of 9/11 terror attack. And this is coming in as Asim Munir was there in a hotel in the United States. And in fact, he has faced this sloganeering outside his hotel. These chants, these humiliating chants, butcher of Pakistanis also. These are the protests happening outside the hotel where Asim Munir was. And this is another embarrassment. You know, we've seen how Pakistan has made a mockery of itself, but it is humiliating. It is more than humiliating. Saying it's an embarrassment is just it's an understatement, viewers, because this is the army chief of Pakistan. Viewers, we shift our focus to the conflict between Iran and Israel. And in the wake of this conflict, several students have been evacuated from Iran. In fact, New Delhi has advised students to move away from Tehran, especially where we've seen there have been massive airstrikes in Tehran and in several parts of Iran. In fact, Kashmiri students studying in Iran have been also affected by this. My colleague Zeenat is joining us live on the broadcast from Jammu and Kashmir. Zeenat, tell us more. What is the update on the students, especially who are from Kashmir, who are in Iran? What are their families saying? What is their latest communication?
See, Rakshita, the escalation between Iran and Israel has left many students stranded there, though there have been the effort being made by the ministry to evacuate them. But that has also left scores of parents worried about the children who are pursuing their professional courses. I'm joined by one of the family. They come from the downtown Srinagar, and the family, the parent of this very young girl who's doing her MBBS from the Tehran University, Nisar Saab, शिराज यूनिवर्सिटी। निसार साहब, आप बताइए कि कई दिनों से आपकी बच्ची के साथ जो भी बात हुई है, क्या बताया, क्या हालातों के बारे में बताया, अभी तक जो कॉन्वर्सेशन हुआ किससे रिलेटेड हुआ?
बेसिकली वो शिराज मेडिकल यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ती है, 3rd ईयर में पढ़ती है। तो जब से वहाँ ये स्टार्ट हो गया इसराइल और ईरान के बीच में, जो
She is the daughter of the family who's studying in Shiraz University, and she is the one who's still been stuck there, and I'm joined by her father, Nisar.
जी मैम, वो शिराज मेडिकल यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ रही है। 2-4 दिन पहले जब ये वार स्टार्ट हो गया बिटवीन इसराइल एंड ईरान, तो वो बहुत डरे हुए थे। तो पहले दिन तो उतने डरे हुए नहीं थे, लेकिन जैसे जैसे वो दिन चढ़ता गया तो वहाँ से भी रॉकेट आ रहे हैं, यहाँ से भी रॉकेट आ रहे हैं। तो वो हॉस्टल में स्टक थे। तो फिर वो क्या करते, यहाँ फ़ोन करते, हम क्या कर सकते थे? फिर यूनिवर्सिटी वालों से कांटेक्ट किया। यूनिवर्सिटी बोलने वाला, आप हॉस्टल में रहिए, आप बाहर मत निकले, हम देखते हैं क्या हालात रहेंगे, उसी हिसाब से करेंगे। तो रात को ज़्यादा जब वहाँ रॉकेट वगैरह मिसाइल चलने लगे तो वो बहुत डरे हुए, सहमे हुए थे। तो फिर उन्होंने हमारे साथ कांटेक्ट किया, हम क्या कर सकते थे। फिर लकीली हम थैंकफुल है इंडियन एम्बेसी के जो वहाँ ईरान में है, उन्होंने उनके साथ कांटेक्ट किया, उनको अपना व्हाट्सअप नंबर दिया, कांटेक्ट नंबर, बोला आप घबराइए मत, हम कोशिश करेंगे कि हालात कैसे रहेंगे उस हिसाब से हम कोशिश करेंगे कि आपको सेफ जगह इवैक्यूएट करेंगे।
तो अभी तक इवैक्यूएशन हुआ है क्या?
आज मॉर्निंग में मेरी बेटी के साथ बात हुई, इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम 7 AM, तो वहाँ तेहरान में 5 AM थे, तो उनको उस टाइम इवैक्यूएट कर रहे थे वहाँ से सेफर प्लेस। इंडियन एम्बेसी की तरफ से उनका फुल सपोर्ट उनसे मिला, इंडियन एम्बेसी की तरफ से। वो कंटिन्यू इन दोनों उनके साथ टच में थे। वो 3-4 दिन से सोए नहीं, क्योंकि वहाँ उस होस्ट में लड़कियाँ हैं, 80% कश्मीरी है, लेबनानीज, इराकी और भी कई कंट्री की लड़कियां हैं। वहाँ लड़कियों का ही हॉस्टल है वो। तो लेकिन सपोर्ट बहुत ही मिला उनको, यूनिवर्सिटी वालों ने भी सपोर्ट किया। तो एम्बेसी वालों ने उनके
बच्चे जो है वो आपकी बेटी के साथ वहाँ फंसे हुए, कुछ बताया?
वहाँ उसने बताया कि हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी के 200 लड़कियाँ थी। जी जी जी।
तो अभी तक जो है उनको वहाँ से निकाला नहीं गया है?
आज मॉर्निंग में उनको वहाँ से निकाला गया। इंडियन एम्बेसी ने आज उनको इवैक्यूएट वहाँ से किया।
करके कहाँ ले गए?
वो उनको बोला नहीं गया कि हम कहाँ ले जा रहे हैं। अभी सवेरे से उनके साथ बात नहीं हुई है। सवेरे मॉर्निंग में उसने ISD कॉल की थी, उसका वहाँ का एक लोकल नंबर है, क्योंकि वहाँ नेट शेट नहीं चल रहा है। कल से तो उनके साथ बात ही नहीं हो पा रही थी। लेकिन इंडियन एम्बेसी ने उनको इन टच कंटिन्यू बच्चों के साथ है, बोला आप घबराइए मत, हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कम से कम कि एयर स्पेस बंद है, लेकिन कम से कम हम आपको सेफर प्लेस पे इवैक्यूएट करेंगे। और कल रात को इनको मैसेज आई थी, आप मॉर्निंग में रेडी रहिए, हम अरेंज कर रहे हैं गाड़ियाँ वगैरह, मॉर्निंग में हम आपको इवैक्यूएट करेंगे।
अंकल, अभी जो कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम है काफ़ी ज़्यादा डाउन है, वहाँ कम्युनिकेशन नहीं हो पा रहा है, तो उसके बावजूद किस तरह से आपसे बात हो पाई?
उसने वहाँ का लोकल एक नंबर लिया है, उस ISD कॉल वो कर रही है, और वो भी मुश्किल से कनेक्ट हो रहा है, कभी नहीं हो रहा है, आधे मिनट 1 मिनट कनेक्ट हो कट हो जाता है, इंटरनेट वगैरह सब बंद है वहाँ। तो वो बच्चे इस वजह से ज़्यादा हुए, सहमे हुए हैं, क्योंकि वहाँ नेट कनेक्टिविटी है, फैमिलीज के साथ कॉन्टैक्ट नहीं हो पा रहा है, और वो भी लड़कियाँ हैं तो और अदर कंट्री में है, तो नेचुरली वो तो डरे हुए, बहुत सहमे हुए थे वहाँ वो।
अभी तो अंकल एयर स्पेस भी बंद है, तो व्हाट डू यू एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट बिकॉज ऑफ द एयर स्पेस इज कम्प्लीटली शट? हम
एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से कि वो इनको नियरेस्ट किसी कंट्री में लेके वहाँ से इवैक्यूएट करेंगे दिल्ली।
तो अभी 3rd ईयर की MBBS की स्टूडेंट है, तो इन सालों में कभी इस तरह का प्रॉब्लम देखने को मिला?
नहीं, इन सालों में कभी ऐसा कोई प्रॉब्लम है, ये तो फर्स्ट टाइम वहाँ उनको ये प्रॉब्लम। पिछली बार भी थोड़ा बहुत हो, लेकिन इनको कोई इफेक्ट नहीं पड़ा था। पिछली बार जो हुआ,
पिछली बार
हाँ, उस टाइम को कोई इफेक्ट, कॉलेज भी खुला था, मार्केट भी, यही सब जा रहे थे। लेकिन आज जो हुआ ना, इनको लगा था शायद पिछली तरह की था, एक दिन में एक सारा खत्म, लेकिन जब बढ़ता गया और बच्चे बोल रहे थे, हम खुद देख रहे थे कि रॉकेट यहाँ से भी आ रहे हैं, वहाँ से भी आ रहे हैं। और शिराज में उनके कॉलेज के हॉस्टल के पास ही एक बिल्डिंग को मिसाइल आया था, तो ये सहमे हुए थे। ये फिर ग्राउंड फ्लोर में सारे बच्चे एक जगह बैठे रहे।
तो जो आप बता रहे हैं कि एक नज़दीक की बिल्डिंग में एक रॉकेट हुआ था, तो जहां पर ये लोग हैं वहां पर उस विसिनिटी में कोई ऐसा डैमेज या कोई ऐसी चीज देखने को?
उस एरिया में कोई डैमेज नहीं हुआ, ना उस एरिया में रॉकेट गिरा है, लेकिन धमाके दाएं बाएं हो रहे थे, वो बहुत सहमे हुए थे और वो फिर एक जगह बैठे थे ग्राउंड फ्लोर में। वो 3 नाइट वो सोए ही नहीं, क्योंकि रात को ये वहाँ ज़्यादा अटैक्स वगैरह होते, चाहे वहाँ से या यहाँ से।
तो इस बीच में जो कि आप कह रहे हैं कि ग्राउंड फ्लोर में उनको रेस्क्यू किया गया, वहाँ रखा गया, तो इस तरह इसमें कुछ खाने पीने को वगैरह कुछ मिला था कि या सप्लाईज भी नहीं पहुँच पा रही है?
सप्लाईज नहीं पहुँच पा रही है, और बेसिकली वो खुद कुक कर रही है। तो वो बोल रहे थे हम बना रहे थे लेकिन खा नहीं पा रहे थे टेंशन की वजह से। तो बाकी यूनिवर्सिटी वालों का भी उनका सपोर्ट मिला, लेकिन एम्बेसी वालों के हम थैंकफुल है कि उन्होंने उनको कंटिन्यू उनके साथ इन टच रहे, उनको सपोर्ट किया, उनको आज मॉर्निंग में इवैक्यूएट किया।
तो कई सिविलियन कैजुअल्टीज़ का भी नंबर आ रहा है जो कि भी आइडेंटिफाई नहीं हो रहे हैं। कि स्टूडेंट्स कम्युनिटी के लिए आपकी बेटी ने कुछ बताया कि कोई उनके यहाँ कोई इंजरी, स्टूडेंट्स कोई इंजर्ड तो नहीं है उन ग्रुप्स में, या किसी का कैजुअल्टी या कोई प्रॉपर्टी उसमें डैमेज तो नहीं?
नहीं, ना उसकी यूनिवर्सिटी को कोई, ना हॉस्टल को, ना कोई स्टूडेंट जख्मी हो गया है शिराज में। हाँ, बोल रहे थे, सुनने में आया है कि 2-3 बच्चे तेहरान में कुछ माइनर इंजरी उनको हुई है।
क्या वो कश्मीरी स्टूडेंट?
कश्मीरी स्टूडेंट 3 है, लेकिन माइनर इंजरी बोल रहे, मेरी बेटी बोल रहे, हम उनके साथ बात हुई, माइनर इंजरी हुई। बेसिकली वहाँ धमाके की वजह से हॉस्टल के शीशे टूट गए थे, उस वजह से उनको माइनर इंजरी हो गई थी। शिराज में कोई इंजरी नहीं है, वहाँ सारे बच्चे सेफ है, सबको आज इवैक्यूएट किया गया है। तो अब पता नहीं कहाँ किस
इवैक्यूएशन प्रोसेस जो हो रहा है उसमें आपकी बेटी को कहाँ रखा गया?
अभी पता नहीं है, क्योंकि उसका कांटेक्ट ही नहीं है। अभी पता नहीं वो कहाँ पहुंचे, ना उनको बोला गया है कि हम आपको कहाँ ले जाएंगे, लेकिन खाली एम्बेसी वालों ने बोला हम आपको सेफर प्लेस पे ले जाएंगे, वहाँ से फिर हम देखेंगे, हम आपको इवैक्यूएट करके दिल्ली भेज देंगे। तो जहाँ तक लगता है कुछ बच्चों को, मेरे एक फ्रेंड का बेटा है, उनको आर्मी ने बॉर्डर क्रॉस कराया गया, और शायद नेक्स्ट विदिन 2-3 डेज उनको आर्मी ने सिर्फ दिल्ली ले जाएगा।
अच्छा, इवैक्यूएट करके कहाँ ले गए?
उनको आर्मी ने ले गए हैं, कुछ बच्चों को। इनका अभी पता नहीं है, उनके से अभी कांटेक्ट नहीं है, इनको कहाँ ले गए हैं। तो अब जब कांटेक्ट हो तभी तो पता चलेगा।
One family from downtown Srinagar, the daughter is stuck in the Tehran University. You see the airspace is shut, the communication is not working, internet speed has gone drastically down. Now all eyes on Ministry of External Affairs for the help.
Right. Zina, thanks so much for joining us with that conversation coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. We'll keep a close eye on the updates on the students in Iran. Right now, we have some breaking news coming in. Top sources tell Republic TV that the black box from the recent Ahmedabad plane crash will be examined in India and will not be sent abroad for analysis. Remember, earlier there were talks about the black box being decoded in a lab in France or United Kingdom. But now what we know, and this is an exclusive input that Republic TV has received on the Ahmedabad black box that holds the key to understand what really happened. What top sources tell us that the black box will be examined in India. Gopi is joining us on the broadcast for more on that. Gopi, tell us more updates, because earlier it was told that this will be sent to maybe France or UK, but it's a good thing to know that it's going to be examined now in India itself.
Well, in fact, yes, Rakshita, what we are learning from our sources is yesterday it was the CVR which was discovered, which was found, in fact, from the crash site. And now the entire investigation is to be done here itself in India. What we are learning from our sources is there are 2 components in the black box, and both the components will be studied. This is, in fact, going to help reconstruct the entire sequence of the event, what went wrong before the plane crashed, a few seconds before the plane crashed, what was actually the pilot talking about, what were the background noises, the radio programming, everything would be figured out from this very CVR which has been recovered from the crash site yesterday.
Yes, Gopi,
but yes,
Gopi,
top sources are
stay on with us. We have senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor joining us on the broadcast. Abhishek, well, what we know now that the key to this investigation is the black box, and it is going to be examined here in India. What more details can you share with us?
Well, you see, what the pilot said, what the ATC heard, what the ATC responded with, and other parameters of the flight, everything is there in the black box, which is made up of 2 components, as we know now, the cockpit voice recorder and and the flight data recorder, which has all the physical parameters of the flight, and the cockpit voice recorder not just records what the pilot is saying or the co-pilot is saying, but other ambient noises also, and that really helps the investigators piece together the puzzle in the case that there was not enough time for the pilots also to sort of encapsulate what was happening, and if, for example, if they failed to comprehend. So that way, it's very important that the black boxes are deciphered properly. Typically, depending on the arrangement, they would go sometimes to the Boeing plant or the NTSB actually in the United States, which is the National Transportation Services Board of the U.S., or to the BEA in Europe. This time it's been decided, like we do with other airline disasters, we would want to.
Just stay with us, Abhishek. We have some breaking news coming in right now. There's Donald Trump who has just, I think.
Will come down so hard, then the gloves are off so beautifully. Now I think they know not to touch our troops.
Are you sending the vice?
Yeah, we're not troops.
Do you plan to send the Vice President and Steve Witkoff? There's reports that you want to send the Vice President and Steve Witkoff to meet with the Iranians and have discussions. Is that something you're considering?
Not sure yet. I may. Depends on what happens when I get back.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
An end. A real end, not a ceasefire. An end.
So something that would be permanent?
Yeah, or giving up entirely. That's okay too.
Are you close there? Is that possible? Is that possible in the next 24
Why not? Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible, yeah.
Has the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the Secretary of Defense drawn up plans for you if Iran were to attack U.S. bases or do any damage to U.S. bases?
Just can't tell you.
Can I ask you, because there's been some skepticism, is there any guarantee that if the U.S. did get involved militarily, that a U.S. bomb could destroy Iran's nuclear program and facilities?
On everything or anything on life, you know that. Look at you, right? There's no guarantee. But you're saying a guarantee on what?
Do you think if the U.S. got involved militarily, it would actually wipe out Iran's nuclear program? Or where's your assessment of that?
I hope their program's going to be wiped out long before that. But they're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
Do you have any reason to believe the Israelis are going to slow down, or are they going to hit the accelerator right now?
Well, we're going to see. You're going to find out over the next 2 days, right? You're going to find out.
Has the gang of eight?
Nobody's slowed up so far.
Has the gang of eight been notified about what's coming in the next couple days?
Well, we'll be talking to them.
What can you do?
It's not necessary.
What can you do in Washington that you couldn't do in Canada?
Just be a little bit, I think, more well-versed. Not having to use telephones so much, because I don't believe in telephones. Because people like you listen to them, you know. So being on the scene is much better. And we did everything I had to do on the G7. We had a good G7. We signed the deal with the European Union, phase one of a deal. But we signed the deal with the UK. And the UK is really great. We're very far down the line with a lot of deals. I mean, look, we're actually finished with every deal if you really think about it, because all I have to do is say, this is what you're going to pay. But it's nice to be nice.
Did Secretary Bessent stay behind as your representative?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, a couple of them.
Can I ask you where...
Who else has a question other than CNN fake news?
President, you talked with the European Union. Can you tell us what the status is on talks on those who signed
Well,
with
we're
the UK
talking,
today?
but I don't feel that they're offering a fair deal yet. You know, they've been very tough over the years. If you look at European Union, they formed in order to hurt the United States on trade. And we're either going to make a good deal or they'll just pay whatever we say then.
What about the Japanese, sir? You met briefly with Prime Minister.
We had a great conversation. I thought he was terrific, actually. You know, I was very friendly with Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister. He was a great man. But I think he's going to do a very good job.
Do you think you have a chance of a deal? auto tariffs as well. Is that on the table?
We'll see what happens. Anything else?
Yeah, this drone attack in Kyiv. What's your response to that? It looks like 14.
When was that?
A Russian drone attack in Kyiv.
When?
Very recently. Just now. 14 civilians in an apartment building.
I mean, as I'm walking back to see you, that's what it took place.
Something like that.
Sounds like it. I'll have to look at it.
Are you going to give on the Middle East? What changed about that convinced you to sign on to it? The G7 joint statement.
Well, I haven't seen the statement yet, but I authorized them to say certain things. I don't know whether or not they said them correctly, but I think they probably did. We had a good meeting. I think that Canadian representatives were very good. He did a very good job.
How are the
Carney did a very good job.
How was your meeting with him? How were the trade talks looking up to Canadian?
I think it was good. I think we had a lot of good talks with a lot of people.
You said he's looking for something more complex. Can you tell me what you mean by that?
Well, they get too complex in the deals and they never get done. And we need speed. You know, we're dealing with really, if you think about it, probably 175 countries. And most of them are going to just be sent a letter saying, it'll be an honor to trade with you and here's what you're going to have to pay to do it. We're making a lot of money. You know, we took in $88 billion in tariffs. And I was called by Congress about 2 nights ago saying, we don't understand, the numbers are so far off. And I said, is that good or bad? He says, well, we're taking in so much more income than we thought. We've never seen anything like this. What is it? I said, check the tariff column. And it's about $88 billion that they've never seen before. And that's nothing compared to what it's going to be.
You've got other tariffs coming down the pipe here.
I have a lot of them, yeah.
What's the timing on those things like lumber, copper, pharmaceutical drugs?
Yeah, we're going to be doing pharmaceuticals very soon. That's going to bring all the companies back into America.
All of them, or focusing on?
It's going to bring most of them back in, at least partially back in. You know, they left us because we had presidents that didn't know what the hell they were doing. We should have never lost our car business. We lost 52% of our car business over the years. Should have never lost it. All they had to do is say, if you make a car, you're going to leave us, you're going to make a car, you're going to pay a 25, 30% tariff, and they would have never left. Nobody said that to anybody until I came along.
Homeland Security is saying that ICE is going to start enforcing in hotels and farms again. Is that a change of course from last week?
We're going to look everywhere, but I think the biggest problem is the inner cities. We're looking everywhere. Look, what they let into this country, what Biden let in, or allowed to, I don't think he knew what the hell he was doing, frankly, but whoever worked for him, what they let into this country, we're never going to forget it. They let prisoners in, they let gang members in, drug dealers in, the mentally insane into our country. No, we're going to get them out. There are far more in the inner cities, Democrat-run cities, sadly. I mean, I'm just giving you a fact. There's far more in there than you have on a farm someplace.
And no one's getting exemptions anymore. Everyone is.
All right, that was Donald Trump. He was addressing the media right now. His live reaction coming in, and he has cut short the G7 visit. He has left Canada a day earlier. And he has, remember, also, this is amidst the Israel-Iran tensions. And Trump cut short this summit visit. He has requested his National Security Council meeting at the White House as well. So it's very important now to understand why this has happened, viewers, because Trump left this G7 summit in Canada, as I said, a day early, due to the situation in West Asia. French President Emmanuel Macron, meanwhile, said that Trump had made an offer for a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Earlier, President Trump had urged everyone to immediately evacuate Tehran and reiterated that Iran should have signed a nuclear deal with the United States. Trump briefly spoke about his experience at the G7 summit before leaving the United States, before leaving for the United States. Here's more.
U.S. President Donald Trump has left one day early from the G7 summit that is being held in Karnatakum of Canada. Due to the Israel-Iran conflict and the current situation in the Middle East, President Donald Trump headed back to the White House early. Speaking with the press at the G7 summit, Trump shared that he will be heading back after having dinner with the leaders.
Well, I have to be back. Very important. I want to just thank our great host. You did a fantastic show. Thank you, Canada. But you probably see what I see. I have to be back soon as I can. Gonna have dinner with these wonderful leaders, and then I get on the plane. I have to be back early.
President Trump reflected on the meeting and said that a lot got done. He said that the other leaders understand that he has to leave early. Trump was seen boarding an airplane at Calgary Airport to head back to the United States.
Massive crisis hits India's aviation sector. Multiple Air India flights report technical snags and cancellations. Passengers left stranded. We get you more on that. Stay tuned.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का। MDH की देगी मिर्च।
Ini filho. Uau, vai bater esse cu.
As you can see behind me, this is the result of the latest barrage of rockets fired at our residential communities by Iran. It's continuing the pattern as we're seeing each and every one of these seas.
विमल में गुलिस्तां की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की इस जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
With technical reasons, sir, we'd like to stay closer to Hong Kong. With technical reasons, sir, we'd like to stay closer to Hong Kong. Maybe we will come back and land back into Hong Kong once we sort out the problem. We don't want to continue further. And yes, you are maintain passion level, advance and able.
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबान कैसी।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
With technical reasons, sir, we'd like to stay closer to Hong Kong. And yes, you are sorry, say again. With technical reasons, sir, we'd like to stay closer to Hong Kong. Maybe we will come back and land back into Hong Kong once we sort out the problem. We don't want to continue further. And yes, you are maintain passion level, advance and able for right turn to Hong Kong. Able right turn right now in 315.
from Asia's largest news headquarters. Setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
It's 3 p.m. and you're watching live and breaking with me, Shah Vincent. Let me take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Exclusive input on Ahmedabad plane crash. Black box to be examined in India, unlikely to be sent abroad for further examination. Major embarrassment for Air India. Another flight from Ahmedabad to London now cancelled due to technical snag. Passengers lash out at the airline. Aviation crisis deepens. Another airline now faces a bomb threat. Major Indigo accident that has now been averted. Israeli military says it killed Iran's wartime chief of staff. Israel-Iran conflict escalates. Prime Minister Modi in Canada to attend G7 summit to meet President Zelensky on the sidelines of the summit. Israel says that the conflict continues until and unless the Supreme Commander is actually eliminated. In fact, Israel says the end of the conflict will be after the Supreme Leader of Iran is eliminated. The conflict has only escalated with Iran hitting back. In fact, some reports now suggesting that key facilities, defense facilities in Tel Aviv have now been once again targeted by the Iranians. We're going to get you all the latest updates coming in a short while from now. And the fact of the matter is this. As the G7 summit is underway, President Trump has already cut short his G7 trip. Indications that this is because of the ongoing tensions in West Asia. In fact, the White House has once again clearly indicated that this is because of what's happening in the Middle East. Let's also take you through the latest details coming in. Iran has now attacked Israeli military base near Tel Aviv. Let's just take you through some of the details now coming in. Iran has made a stunning claim. In fact, they say that this is with regards to the latest targets that they've essentially identified. We're also getting in details. This is the claim that has been made that the intelligence unit has been targeted. This is near the Glilot base near Tel Aviv. In fact, Israel's interception failure is what Iran is now claiming. Israel's air defense failed again to intercept its missiles. In fact, the IRGC Cyber Corps has also once again put out a video that we are going to currently put out in a short while from now. This again, let me just quickly tell you that these are claims that have been made by the Iranians. Let's try and see if we can put this out as quickly as possible. These are the latest visuals coming in from the Iranian side. Now this, remember, comes at a time when President Trump has once again indicated that Iran cannot it cannot perhaps continue with their nuclear program. On your screens right now, these are the areas that have been targeted by Israel. Areas in the last few days. It started on Friday, and remember, the areas that have been targeted by Israel are those which are the nuclear enrichment facilities in Iran, which includes Natanz, as well as some parts of Tehran that have been targeted. Important to point out here that President Trump, on the sidelines of the G7, has once again indicated that Iran perhaps cannot have a nuclear weapon. In fact, the G7 statement that has been signed by all partners, which also includes President Trump, once again makes it very clear that Iran perhaps cannot continue with their nuclear program, and the Israelis have been indicating the same, that the aim of these attacks that have been carried out over the last few days, starting from Friday, is to perhaps cripple Iran so that they cannot continue with their nuclear program, because they say it's going to be dangerous for the entire region. That's what the Israelis have to say. The Iranians, on the other side, have been indicating that this is a Zionist regime and all that they want is to continue with the war. In fact, the Iranians have reached out to United States of America saying that if at all President Trump believes in dialogue, that this perhaps is the time to pick up that phone and make that call to Prime Minister Netanyahu to bring an end to this escalation in the region itself. On your screens right now, these are the latest developments that have taken place in the last few hours. Iran's wartime chief of staff has now been eliminated in the opening strike of Operation Rising Lion. I'm going to just quickly take you through what's coming in from the Israeli Defense Forces with regards to the wartime chief who has now been targeted. We're going to take you through some of the details that are now coming in. First, in the last 60 minutes, what has happened? On your screens right now, these are images that have been shot by Indian students. Large number of Kashmiri students who have been stuck in Iran. They have now been evacuated through Armenia. On your screens right now, these are the details. 1,300 medical students have been evacuated from Iran. Iran has attacked Israelis' military base near Tel Aviv. That's happened in the last 60 minutes. Mossad building in Herzliya has been targeted by a rocket attack that has actually taken place. Iran makes a claim saying that the main cause of instability and war happens to be Israel. Now, that's a claim that has been, once again, that's a statement that has been made by the Iranians. Trump, in all likelihood, may be sending across US Vice President J.D. Vance, as well as the Middle East envoy Witkoff to Iran for further talks, because there have been some indications coming in that there is a possibility that talks could take place between the United States of America and Iran. Iranians say that it is President Trump's responsibility to ensure that they dial the Prime Minister, and thereafter ensure that there is a de-escalation to take place. On your screens right now, these are multiple images that are essentially coming in from various parts of Iran right now, particularly from Tehran, where the evacuation is underway. In fact, President Trump once again has indicated that Tehran, those living in Tehran, should be leaving the city as soon as possible. Now, that's what President Trump had to say. I'm also going to go across to Ariella Rosenthal. He's the Director of International Relations, joining us from Ashdod. Ariella, thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. The Iranians say that it is time for President Trump to dial Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu so that a ceasefire can be worked out. Do you believe that there is a possibility of any sort of ceasefire, particularly what we are witnessing right now with the United States of America upping the ante?
Well, I must say that on my personal belief that my country is knowing what it's doing now, in the terms that we will do all what is needed to eliminate the threat of Iran on the survival of the state of Israel. We must remember that in the last days since the escalation, Israel is only targeting military targets and not citizen targets like Iran is doing. We've had here several deaths and very hard bombardments throughout Israel. And I am sure that my country will finish first all the bank of targets that it has to do in order that in the future Israel will not be under a threat. And of course, Israel is now doing all what is doing not only for the safety of Israel, but the safety of the world.
Well, in fact, Arila, just to put this into perspective as to what's the end game right now for the Israelis, because it seems that there is a limitation that Israel faces right now. You do not have the ammunition to continue with the bunker bombers, and that is the reason why you need the United States of America to step in. What if US does not step in and US sees this as an opportunity to strike a deal? And if that really works out, where does Israel really stand?
Well, Israel and the US are allies. We are known for backing one another. I'm sure that the US, as I heard from the news, that even President Trump informed all to leave Tehran because he knows what will be in the near future. And I'm fully sure that Israel and the US are working together. And the US understands the situation that Israel is not only under a permanent threat and survival, but also all the Western countries, all who for favors free value, democratic values, and not dark ages like the regime in Iran.
Arila, one final question that I want to ask you for those who are outside Israel. Could you give us a sense of what's really happening in various parts of the country? Because we believe the Iranians have made a claim that some of the military facilities closer to Tel Aviv have been targeted. What's the truth like? What's really happening around you?
Well, I must say, in Ashdod, we're the fifth largest city in Israel. We're a strategic city in Israel. We are always on alert. Thank God, up till now, we have not received any bombardments in the city. Throughout Israel, yes, there are some strategic plants that have been hit, but we will overcome it. And we are a strong country, both morally and not only military. And we are listening very close to the guidelines of the home front, which have been proved to be very directing us how to conduct during emergency. And yes, we have lots of death, but it could have been worse. And thank God to the IDF that is looking and guiding the population how to behave during missiles attack. So I know that now Israel is already preparing everything that will be, the places that have been hit will be abolished and everything will be okay. The main thing is that we must immediately listen to the guidelines. They are life-saving, and that's what the population is doing. Right. And the rest, we leave it to the government, and God bless Israel.
Arla, thank you very much for joining us from Ashdod and giving us a sense of what's really happening on the ground. Now, as far as the United States of America is concerned and what's the role that it would essentially play, whether at all US gets directly into it, because that's what the Israelis would rather want, draw the United States of America into the war, because there is a huge limitation that Israel really faces right now, particularly if at all they want to cripple Iran's nuclear facilities. Now, let me take you through what has happened in the last few hours with regards to the United States of America and its Air Force jets. There are 30 aircrafts that have essentially moved towards Spain. In fact, the US has mobilized its resources, 30 Air Force aircraft that have been moved, all KC-135. Two aircraft has already touched down in Sevilla in Spain. More aircraft are approaching towards Europe. Now, that's the US airbase in Spain where some of the aircraft have landed. Now, if at all the United States of America joins the Israelis, that would essentially mean that the talks have gone nowhere. United States of America has made it very clear that they are looking for a deal. And the deal is with regards to the fact that Iran will essentially not continue with their nuclear program. And the Iranians, on the other hand, have been a little iffy about this entire issue, but whether at all they are going to go ahead with the nuclear program itself, and how exactly would they do without the support of United States of America. Should we focus now to the other big story that we are tracking at this? It's the preliminary investigation in the Ahmedabad-London flight that we've now accessed. Boeing was flying with minimum equipment list. Also, the MEL approval comes from the DGCA. I'm just going to get you details of what is the MEL right now. We're going to go across to our reporters on the ground itself. Investigation is likely to be followed thereafter. Let me just quickly go and see if we can go across to Harsha for more details. Harsha, could you just perhaps flesh it out for all our viewers? What are the details that you're getting right now with regards to, number one, what's this approval in the first place? What is the equipment list that you're essentially talking about? And are you suggesting that Air India has basically come to a conclusion with regards to the list, the equipment list that they were essentially carrying at that point in time, which does not match the approval list?
So, Shawan, right now, through the preliminary report, there are so many technical points in the AIB preliminary report, but initially what we have got to know is the MEL. It's the minimum equipment list. The approval which comes directly from the DGCA, that means DGCA has to give the approval to the airlines if they are flying the aircraft, if they are flying the Boeing with the minimum equipment list. This clearly states that if there's some problem in the engine, if there's some problem in the landing gear, if some extra equipment is needed, that equipment is not available in the aircraft. That equipment Air India doesn't have. That equipment has yet not been restored in the aircraft to fly that particular aircraft. That means they are playing with the safety of passengers, not now, since long. These all MEL approval is given by DGCA, which is the regulatory body. So it also comes under the DGCA, also now comes under scanner. That how come DGCA was giving the approval to Air India to fly the aircraft with minimum equipment list? Flying an aircraft with minimum equipment list, it's itself very dangerous and it's very scary for the passengers. Anything could happen airborne, anything could happen mid-air. And right now what we have got to know is that DGCA is the one regulatory body which gives the minimum equipment list approval to Air India. And in this case, most of the Boeings which Air India is flying with minimum equipment list. Most of the equipments are not available in the aircraft. That means any point of time there could be problem in the landing gear, in the normal braking, in the flight control system, and something like this has happened in the Ahmedabad Gatwick flight as well, which crashed. It was flying with MEL. Most of the equipments were not in the aircraft, or most of the equipments were not maintained. There were equipment issues in the cockpit. There were equipment issues in the engine as well. What the prelim report is stating and suggesting. Now, this is the preliminary report which we have accessed from the AIB. More details is yet to come. But yes, Shravan, this is the very important thing which we need to highlight is that DGCA should also be kept under scanner, because DGCA has been giving MEL approval to Air India. Back to you.
To the DGCA has now issued a summon, and this is to Air India as well as Air India Express. Let me just quickly take you through some of the details that Harsha is getting us. Can we just go full frame with the latest visuals coming in, because there is also details coming in from various airports, particularly from Ahmedabad, where we are given to understand the same very aircraft, or the same very aircraft, that is the Boeing aircraft that was supposed to take off from Ahmedabad to London, has been cancelled. I'm going to just take you through some of the details that we are getting in right now. Air India's engineering department head as well as engineering officials have all been called by the DGCA. The meeting has already begun. The DGCA DG is questioning the engineering officials on the technical issues in Boeing aircraft AI141 and other Boeings too. Remember, there are other aircrafts that have also come under the scrutiny right now. And let me also take you through some of the details that we're getting in right now with regards to the details now coming in with the examination that has been done so far by the DGCA. Number one, with regards to the the number of incidents that have been reported over the last 48 hours. There is a crisis that has hit Air India at this point in time, particularly with the Boeing aircrafts that have come under the scanner. In fact, the DGCA has now issued a notice to Air India with regards to the inspection of the Boeing aircraft, particularly the Dreamliners being under the scanner right now. As we speak, I'm given to understand that the DGCA is questioning the Air India engineering chief and the other engineering officials from the very department, particularly with regards to the maintenance of the Dreamliner. In fact, we're given to understand that the Dreamliner was last serviced in the month of March, and that was from Mumbai, where the servicing actually took place. Those details have been obtained by the DGCA after the notice was issued. Now, in the last few hours, there have been multiple incidents that have been reported from not just Air India, but other airlines too. In fact, there is breaking news now coming in with regards to the flights, the incidents that have been reported so far. The Goa-Delhi flight, which had taken off from Goa on Monday, around 4 p.m., experienced a major turbulence 10 minutes after takeoff. In fact, we're going to move out of that. The turbulence is that has been reported from Indigo. Can I just quickly go back to the details coming in with regards to the DGCA examination? I'm given to understand that the DGCA is essentially questioning the engineering officials right now. Can we just go back to the breaking, please? The DGCA summons Air India Engineering Department head today, and the engineering officials have been rushed to the DGCA office. The meeting has also started. DGCA's questioning that has taken place. DGCA is questioning Boeing officials too. We are given to understand that this is part of the examination that is being done by the DGCA right now, pertaining to the accident that took place in Ahmedabad. Let me bring in my colleague Harsha, who's also getting us more details. Harsha, this meeting, this perhaps is the first meeting after the accident that has taken place where Air India officials have now been called in for further questioning.
Yes, Shravan, you are absolutely right. This is the first time DGCA has summoned Air India officials, and that through the officials of both Air India and Air India Express, and also the officials from the particularly department, which is the engineering department. Not to forget to tell all our viewers that this department is majorly responsible for the technicalities and for ensuring that the flight and aircraft is properly serviced, maintained, and this department knows each and every nitty-gritty related to the technicalities of the aircraft. So right now what we've gotten to know is that Air India technical engineering department officials have been summoned. The meeting was called at 3 o'clock. They were asked to appear in front of DGCA, DG Faiz Ahmed Siddiqui at 3 o'clock. The meeting has already commenced. Now they are being questioned by DGCA DG regarding the equipments in the Boeing 787, which flew from Ahmedabad for Gatwick, which crashed, and also regarding other Boeing issues as well, because from past 3 days, Shravan, since the time crashes happened, from that day to till now, this is the 5th day in a row continuously. Every day there are reports of technical snags in Air India and Air India Express flight, and therefore the engineering officials have been called to ask more on the issues of the aircraft, the technical snags which are continuously appearing, and we've gotten to know that they have already been summoned. They had reached in at DGCA office. They are right now present there, and the DG is questioning them right now regarding the Boeing issues. Back to you.
Harsha, with regards to whether at all this is the first meeting, I'm given to understand not just the engineering officials, but other officials of Air India have also been called in by the DGCA. Also, has Air India responded to the notice that was sent by the BCAS?
Important to know that yes, Air India officials have responded to the earlier letter to earlier notice which BCAS had issued them, Sean, which we had reported as well, which we had telecasted, that these were the issues which BCAS had written to Air India, which they wanted to respond by the end of the day, and we have got to know that Air India has responded to them. We'll soon get to know exactly what response Air India has given. But yes, what you asked me, this is the first meeting, and not only Air India Engineering Department, but other department officials have also been called. In total, what I'm getting to now, know exactly 12 to 15 officials from Air India have reached to DGCA office, and they have reached around 2:50 p.m. 3 p.m. was the time when they was asked to be there at DGCA office. All the officials are right now there. Air India Express, Engineering Department, Technical Department, and other officials are also present right now at DGCA. And this is the first meeting. This is the first time after the crash when Air India officials have appeared in front of DGCA, the regulatory body. Back to you.
In fact, that's the latest now coming in right now from the DGCA office, where we are given to understand that this is the first set of questioning that's actually taking place with the Air India officials, particularly the engineering department. We are given to understand where officials from the engineering department who have been called in for questioning by the DGCA. Just over the last few hours, what you have seen right now, multiple incidents have actually been reported. In Ahmedabad, the Ahmedabad-London Air India flight has been cancelled due to a technical snag. Moving on, there was an emergency landing that took place in Nagpur. We are given to understand it is an Indigo aircraft. There too, this was after a threat that was allegedly received. And then finally, Kolkata, where Air India's San Francisco-Mumbai aircraft could not take off due to a technical snag. In fact, the aircraft was headed towards Mumbai, where a technical snag was reported. Subhash Goel, aviation expert, is also joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Goel, multiple incidents that have been reported over the last few hours, and that is the reason why many believe that there is a crisis that not just Air India but the other airlines are too facing. Mr. Goel, am I audible? We seem to have lost the line with Mr. Goel. In fact, there is also more breaking news now coming in. I'm given to understand that another flight of Air India has also been cancelled. We'll try and get you more details. This is the flight from Amritsar to Gatwick that has also been cancelled. That's the Air India flight 2. We'll try and get you more details in a short while from now. In the last 4 hours, there have been 4 incidents that have already been reported, at least 2 that has been linked to Air India on your screen. So I'm going to now take you through each of the details. 2 flights and 1 technical snag. That's the same that's coming in from both sides. Air India flight AI180 and Air India's express flight. Air India's flight AI180 from San Francisco to Mumbai. In fact, the Air India flight reported technical issue before, and the passengers were deplaned. And Air India Express flight from Delhi Ranchi, where once again had returned from mid-air because of that. That's all that we have right now. The details coming in with regards to the incidents that have taken place. 8 incidents that have been reported in just 48 hours. Israeli military says it killed Iran's wartime chief of staff. Israel-Iran conflict escalates. Prime Minister Modi in Canada to attend G7 summit to meet Zelensky on the sidelines of the summit.
विमल में गुलिस्तां की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ गुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की इस जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
Ini filo. Wow, we bateu ziku.
As you can see behind me, this is the result of the latest barrage of rockets fired at our residential communities by Iran. It's continuing the pattern as
I don't just report from courtrooms on verdicts, I decode them. From breaking news to complex legal verdicts, every word is backed by law. At the Republic School of Journalism, you will learn how to report on legal issues with accuracy and speed. The RSJ Diploma, starting on the 30th of June. Apply now.
Exclusive input on Ahmedabad plane crash probe. Top sources say the black box will be examined in India.
दो बार हमारी ये फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुई है और एयर इंडिया कोई जवाब नहीं देते। अब हम लोग अभी अगली बार से एयर इंडिया में आने वाले नहीं हैं।
Massive crisis hits Air India. Multiple flight reports, technical snags and cancellations. Passengers left stranded. Goa to Lucknow Indigo flight faces mid-air turbulence. 10 minutes after takeoff, pilot regains control, averts major accident. Israeli military says it killed Iran's wartime chief of staff. Israel-Iran conflict escalates. And Prime Minister Modi in Canada to attend the G7 summit to meet Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines. Good afternoon, viewers. You're watching Live and Breaking. I'm Dr. Tamisha with you. It's not looking very good as far as the situation in West Asia is concerned. The Israeli Air Force has destroyed more than 20 surface-to-surface missiles last night before they were launched towards the state of Israel by Iran. And now the Israeli Air Force completed several waves of strikes overnight, targeting approximately 100 military targets in Isfahan, central Iran, that is. And as part of the strikes, approximately 50 fighter jets and aircraft identified and struck the missile storage sites, surface-to-surface missile launches that were ready for a launch towards the state of Israel, and command centers where launch squads were preparing to carry out launches towards the territory of the state of Israel. Now, these are fresh videos that we're bringing to you that have been released by the Israeli Defense Forces. Viewers, let's get you more and more visual that have come in from this conflict between Israel and Iran. Now, this is video number 1. The IDF taking out the IRGC, Iranian Revolutionary Guard command centers. There you have this area of impact in Tehran. These are the spots. Israeli Defense Forces struck command centers belonging to the Quds force of the IRGC. And in fact, video two is the IAF identified and eliminated surface-to-air missile launch troops. Seconds before they reached a launcher south of Tehran, the troops were eliminated and the launcher was dismantled. And how, as you can see in that video that we're running right now, that also is from Tehran. Video number 3 now on your screens. Israel's air defense systems shot down the Iranian drones. And this after Tehran unleashed a swarm of drones on Tel Aviv. So this is video number 3. You can see the missile strikes. And now the next video shows how the Israeli Air Force identified and eliminated surface-to-air missile launch troops seconds before they reached a launcher south of Tehran. The troops were eliminated. The launcher was dismantled there. High residential buildings being targeted in video number 4 that we are running on your screens. Iranian missile hitting the buildings and affecting the residential areas as well. And the next visual, we are showing you how Israel's precise strikes also annihilated missile launch pads across Iran. This is part of Israel's mission to obliterate the launch pads and other military assets of Iran. And Israel taking down the Iranian UAVs as well, neutralizing the Iranian drones. And then the U.S. Embassy in Israel has also sustained minor damages in the Iranian strikes. No casualties, however, been reported as far as the strike at the U.S. Embassy in Israel is concerned. The missile struck near the Tel Aviv branch, and it was the concussive force of the missile that damaged the building. We'll just run those visuals of the embassy there that has been affected. Iran, video number 6 shows Iran missile launch troops being eliminated and launches destroyed by the Israel Air Force. This is south of Tehran. The visuals coming in from the 16th of June, Iranian missile launch. The launch has been destroyed by the Israel Air Force. These are visuals now we are going to bring you from the aftermath. This is the aftermath, video number 7, aftermath of the Iranian attack on Tel Aviv. And this shows the destruction that has been caused on ground. Missile launch pads blown up, obliterated. Israel annihilating the Iranian launch pads. The Iranian launch pads have been dismantled, and how you can see in that explosion that has taken place in Tehran. And that's why you understand that why, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, had said that Tehran is burning. Meanwhile, we have also visuals of residential buildings completely damaged by the Iranian missile strikes, minor damages to U.S. Embassy. This is another video that I was talking about just a while back, but we'll also show you how the buildings have been completely damaged by the missile strikes by Iran as well. So we're showing you videos from both the sides, but you understand that what scale of damage has happened in Iran, as Israel has vowed to decimate all the missile launch pads and also targeting the nuclear facilities of Iran as well. And meanwhile, we have some more breaking news coming in right now. Visuals of students being relocated from Tehran. Indian students, remember, have been stranded in this entire conflict, but the Indian embassy has helped them evacuate, and they've asked them to leave Tehran immediately. And many students have been taken to safer places, students being evacuated there. Those are the visuals from the bus. Indian students being taken away in the buses. They have been shifted to a safer spot, a safer location, as there are hundreds of students from India that have in fact who are there pursuing studies. One such student is from Kashmir. My colleague Gazinat spoke to the family of that Kashmiri student who is in Iran right now. Listen in.
He's the daughter of the family who's studying in Shiraz University, and she is the one who's still been stuck there, and I'm joined by her father Nisar.
जी मैम, वो शिराज मेडिकल यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ रही है। 2-4 दिन पहले जब ये वार स्टार्ट हो गया बिटवीन इसराइल एंड ईरान, तो वो बहुत डरे हुए थे। तो पहले दिन तो उतने डरे हुए नहीं थे, लेकिन जैसे जैसे वो दिन चढ़ता गया तो वहाँ से भी रॉकेट आ रहे हैं, यहाँ से भी रॉकेट आ रहे हैं। तो वो हॉस्टल में स्टक थे। तो फिर वो क्या करते, या हम फ़ोन करते, हम क्या कर सकते थे। फिर यूनिवर्सिटी वालों से कांटेक्ट किया। यूनिवर्सिटी बोलने वाला आप हॉस्टल में रहिए, आप बाहर मत निकले, हम देखते हैं क्या हालात रहेंगे, उसी हिसाब से करेंगे। तो रात को ज़्यादा जब वहाँ रॉकेट वगैरह मिसाइल चलने लगे तो वो बहुत डरे हुए, सहमे हुए थे। तो फिर उन्होंने हमारे साथ कांटेक्ट किया, हम क्या कर सकते थे। फिर लकीली हम थैंकफुल है इंडियन एम्बेसी के जो वहाँ ईरान में है, उनने उनके साथ कांटेक्ट किया, उनको अपना व्हाट्सअप नंबर दिया, कांटेक्ट नंबर, बोला आप घबराइए मत, हम कोशिश करेंगे कि हालात कैसे रहेंगे उस हिसाब से हम कोशिश करेंगे कि आपको सेफ जगह इवैक्यूएट करेंगे।
तो अभी तक इवैक्यूएशन हुआ है क्या?
आज मॉर्निंग में मेरी बेटी के साथ बात हुई, इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम 7 AM, तो वहाँ तेहरान में 5 AM थे, तो उनको उस टाइम इवैक्यूएट कर रहे थे वहाँ से सेफर प्लेस इंडियन एम्बेसी की तरफ से। उनका फुल सपोर्ट उनसे मिला इंडियन एम्बेसी की तरफ से। वो कंटिन्यू इन दोनों उनके साथ टच में थे। वो 3-4 दिन से सोए नहीं, क्योंकि वहाँ उस होस्ट में लड़कियाँ हैं, 80% कश्मीरी है, लेबनानीज, इराकी और भी कई कंट्री की लड़कियाँ हैं। वहाँ लड़कियों का ही हॉस्टल है वो। तो लेकिन सपोर्ट बहुत ही मिला उनको, यूनिवर्सिटी वालों ने भी सपोर्ट किया, तो एम्बेसी वालों ने उनके से
बच्चे जो है वो आपकी बेटी के साथ वहाँ फंसे हुए, कुछ बताया?
वहाँ उसने बताया कि हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी के 200 लड़कियाँ थी। जी जी जी।
All right, in some more news from West Asia and more updates from across the globe on the conflict. The leaders of the G7 nations, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and the United Kingdom and the United States have voiced their support for Israel and condemned Iran as the primary source of terror. In a statement, European foreign ministers have also urged Iran to return to nuclear negotiations with the United States and avoid escalating conflict with Israel. Donald Trump dramatically left the G7 summit in Canada a day early to rush back to Washington, D.C., with the French President Emmanuel Macron claiming that the U.S. leader was considering the prospect of a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Meanwhile, Trump condemned Macron's statement by saying something bigger than ceasefire is coming. Remember, he's also called for a National Security Council meeting in Washington, D.C. India has begun evacuating its nationals from Iran amid the escalating tensions between Tehran and Israel. The first batch of 110 Indian nationals who have safely crossed into Armenia will fly to Delhi tomorrow. The Ministry of External Affairs has urged Indian nationals living in Tehran to evacuate and contact the embassy. The military exchanges worsened between Israel and Iran overnight. Israeli strikes hit multiple locations in Iran, including its capital, Tehran. The Israeli Air Force completed several extensive strikes on military targets of the Iranian regime in western Iran. And during the strikes, dozens of surface-to-surface missile storage and launch infrastructure was struck. And in addition, surface-to-air missile launchers and UAV storage sites were struck in western Iran. Iran's missiles have struck deep inside Israel, causing significant damage to key infrastructure. One of the hardest hit sites is the Haifa oil refinery, where pipelines and transmission lines were damaged in the assault. The attack marks a major escalation in the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict, raising concerns over regional stability and the potential for a broader war. Despite the damage, Israeli authorities report no casualties and say that the core refinery operations are still active. Viewers, we show you the footage that depicts the strikes moments ago by the Israeli Air Force on the studios and offices of the Iranian state-run broadcaster IRIB in Tehran. Here's a video from Republic Digital.
که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استادیوم که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استادیوم
الله اکبر الله اکبر الله اکبر
که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استادیوم
الله اکبر الله اکبر الله اکبر.
All right, viewers, there you have those. That is a graphic that we are playing out right now that helps you understand how the U.S. Air Force jets have been targeting have flown into those air bases. Now, this is United States mobilizing resources. You can see it's flying to the southeast of Sevilla in Spain, and that is the Moron Air Base in Spain, and the aircraft movement there being depicted. The US mobilizing its assets, its resources. 30 Air Force aircraft have been moved so far, viewers. All KC-135. Remember, because US has maintained all this while that it is not going to do anything here, but we see that it has moved its fleet as well. The US Navy fleet has moved, ship has moved, and you see the Air Force also being mobilized. You have the Strato tankers, old KC-135 Strato tankers being moved. 2 aircraft touching down at the Moron Air Base. More aircraft also approaching Europe. So that's very important to understand how United States is also set for this. And we also have a geopolitical expert from Tel Aviv, Terry Newman, Israeli entrepreneur, live from Israel right now. Thank you so much, Mr. Newman, joining us on Republic TV. Sir, well, this is escalating, and it's, I think, the 5th day of the conflict that we still see strikes happening. In fact, as we speak, there are reports of more strikes that are coming in right now. And there is, of course, when such things happen, there's always the game of information warfare. But I want to understand from you what's really happening. Has Iran stopped its strikes or not? What is the situation in Israel right now?
Good afternoon. Iran is still striking. We had a few hours ago another barrage of ballistic missiles being sent towards us. Israel has, planned this for over 20 years. We have been saying to the free world that a nuclear Iran is something that cannot be accepted. And we are now in the process of removing that threat, both for ourselves, for the region, for India as well, I should say, and for the free world. I think that President Trump has been very wise in effect, letting Israel, as the Iranians call us, the small Satan, do the initial work. He's seen how well we have done it, and now he appears to be joining. And, there are certain areas that we can do by ourselves, but there are certain tasks where we need to be part of a larger coalition. And we can see that the Americans are getting ready to be a part of that if they cannot dismantle the Iranian nuclear threat through other means.
And, also I want to bring your attention to the statement made by Benjamin Netanyahu to an American channel, where he said that, taking out Ayatollah Khamenei is not going to escalate the conflict, but it's only going to end the conflict. So he's once again insinuated that the target can also be Ayatollah Khamenei.
Well, I think when you're dealing with issues at this level, it's useful to look historically. So, the most similar situation to this was perhaps the end of World War II. And you can take the two examples of the Nazis and of the Japanese. So in the Nazi situation, Hitler committed suicide when he lost all his major people around him. In the Japanese situation, the emperor himself was spared, but he was the one that in the end capitulated and then put Japan on a path that has led to decades of success and building a very, very open, fruitful and wealthy country. So it's unclear as to what will happen in Iran, but what we can definitely say for certainty is that all of the major military people, advisors, leaders around Khamenei have been assassinated. Those that have come into their places are also being assassinated. And therefore, he will have to make the choice of either joining the family of nations and stopping his Islamo-fascist genocidal plans, or he will be removed.
Yes, Mr. Newman, we just also want to focus on Iran's wartime chief of staff that has been eliminated. Ali Shadmani has also been eliminated. And, what Israel is saying that it can reach any target. What military intel chief has hinted at, that it's expanding the operation Rising Lion. How do you see this development? Because he was very close to Ayatollah Khamenei as well.
Iran is a remarkable country of 90 million people. I think sometimes people forget what a large and important country it is. And those people that were, before the Islamist revolution, one of the most advanced countries in the area in terms of education, in terms of women's rights, in terms of science, in terms of technology, have been brutally oppressed now for decades. So you can imagine that the way that Israel is getting to these people in Iran is because there are many people, part of that 90 million, who have risen up against this evil regime in the past that want to see it gone. But Israel's role cannot be to remove the regime itself. That is the role of the Iranian people, and they have been given the tools in a similar way to what we have seen in Lebanon, where Israel was able to deliver very, very serious blows on the leadership of Hezbollah, a major terrorist organization. But it was up to the Lebanese government to then step in and take control of the areas in the south of the country, the same as we've seen in Syria. And now it is up to the people of Iran to step up and take advantage of this moment, because Israel will remove threats to itself and to the wider world, but it cannot get involved in the domestic politics of Iran. That is something for the people of Iran to do themselves.
Absolutely, of course, it's very important to understand the support also that is coming in. But the areas hit by Israel, just stay on with us, Mr. Newman. We are just running that visual to help our viewers understand the areas that have been targeted by Israel. The Israeli strikes in Tabriz, in Tehran, in Natanz. That's the main nuclear enrichment facility reportedly that has been attacked. Kaiman Shah, that refueling plane at the airport hit. Tabriz is where the explosion happened near a nuclear research center. So the nuclear scientists have been targeted. The commanders are being targeted, and these are reports of the Israeli strikes between 12th to 16th of June. Talking about Tehran, Parchin military base, the state broadcaster has been hit. The Shahran fuel depot has also been hit by the Israeli strikes, as we are running those visuals to help you understand, because Israel, especially if we talk about Tehran, we've seen dramatic visuals coming in as far as that city is concerned. Now, Mr. Newman, we understand that the Israeli airstrikes also are happening right now as we speak in multiple areas of Iran, but we also understand that how US has also mobilized its own resources, the US Navy or the US Air Force also. Meanwhile, we see that Donald Trump continues to talk about a deal. He just cut short his G7 visit, and he is now going to head that NSC meeting, the National Security Council meeting as well. So what do we expect from here on? What will be United States' role, if you can share with our viewers?
I can't speak on behalf of the United States, but I can certainly point out that the United States have bought a major aircraft carrier, the Nimitz, from Vietnam to the Middle Eastern arena now. They have sent in, I believe it's 28 air refueling planes into Europe. And as you showed earlier, they are sending other aerial assets across from the United States into the European arena. So they want to be ready in the event that Iran continues its aggressive rhetoric in its race to the nuclear bomb. I don't believe that the free world will have a better opportunity than this to remove the nuclear threat. I have to say I find it sometimes quite alarming at the hypocrisy of certain Western democracies that say we must stop Iran from getting a nuclear bomb, and as soon as we actually do something about that after decades of warning, they say we have to de-escalate. This is a moment, these moments happen once perhaps in a decade, in 2 decades, in 3 decades, and we have to make sure that the work is done properly. And I was saying earlier on a different channel that the Nimitz that's being sent in, actually, there's a certain historical irony that this was the same warship, the same aircraft carrier that was sent in 1979 and 80 after the Iranian Revolution to help get rid of to help those Americans that were taken hostage in Tehran. So I hope that the Americans do what needs to be done, and the nuclear threat will be removed.
Absolutely. Terry Newman, thanks so much for joining us once again on Republic TV with your insights and your views on the story. Viewers, we step into a very short break, viewers, but continue to track more updates from West Asia as the Israeli military has killed Iran's wartime chief of staff. The war is escalating. In the latest, we have Iranian military activate its air defenses following a series of Israeli airstrikes as we speak. We'll get you more on that. Also, we will tell you the details from Canada, where the Prime Minister is attending the G7 summit, all set to meet Zelensky on the sidelines as well.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
आपकी फेवरेट हुंडई कार्स पर मिल रही है अमेजिंग डील्स। वैसे लोगे तो आप हुंडई ही, चाहे दिल की सुनो या डील्स की, तो जल्दी चले आओ हुंडई शोरूम।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
הנה, אפילו. וואו, בבתי זיקוק.
As you can see behind me, this is the result of the latest barrage of rockets fired at our residential communities by Iran. It's continuing the pattern as we're seeing. Each and every one of these scenes are targeting residential communities, civilians in their homes.
אחרי שקיבלנו את ההתראות בלילה, נכנסנו לממ"ד, המתנו, היה את האזעקה, המתנו.
I don't just report from courtrooms on verdicts, I decode them. From breaking news to complex legal verdicts, every word is backed by law. At the Republic School of Journalism, you will learn how to report on legal issues with accuracy and speed. The RSJ Diploma, starting on the 30th of June. Apply now.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
הנה, אפילו. וואו, בבתי זיקוק.
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुलें तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबान कैसी?
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
With technical reasons, sir, would like to stay closer to Hong Kong. MDH 143 again. With technical reasons, sir, we'd like to stay closer to Hong Kong. Maybe we will come back and land back into Hong Kong once we sort out the problem. We don't want to continue further.
And the actual information, maintain passion level, advance and able for right turn to Hong Kong.
Able right turn right now in 315.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Exclusive input on Ahmedabad plane crash probe. Top sources say black box to be examined in India.
2 बार हमारी ये फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुई है और एयर इंडिया कोई जवाब नहीं देते। अब हम लोग अभी अगली बार से एयर इंडिया में आने वाले नहीं हैं।
Massive crisis hits Air India. Multiple flights report technical snags and cancellations. Passengers left stranded. Goa Lucknow Indigo flight faces mid-air turbulence 10 minutes after takeoff. Pilot regains control, averts major accident. Israeli military says it killed Iran's wartime chief of staff. Israel-Iran conflict escalates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Canada to attend G7 summit to meet Zelensky on the sidelines of the summit. Breaking news coming in, viewers. Director General of Civil Aviation is set to chair a virtual meeting with Air India and Air India Express today. Now, this is coming after DGCA's reprimanded Air India over non-compliance of rules related to passenger safety and airline safety checks. DGCA is going to hold this crucial meeting after we are seeing it's been an embarrassing day for both Air India and Air India Express. Multiple cancellations, multiple delays, passengers left stranded. And after that, the DGCA is going to hold this very crucial meeting where and this is coming after they are going to take stock of the situation after multiple cancellations and technical snags that have been reported throughout past 24 hours. Joining me live on this broadcast is my colleague Harsha. Harsha, this is going to be a very crucial meeting today. The DGCA appears to have had it all. They are going to meet the Air India and Air India Express officials, and it's going to be a tough day for them. What more can you tell us?
So, Madhurima, there's an update for all our viewers as well because the meeting is underway. So, the meeting was called at 3 o'clock, and there's a physical meeting, not a virtual meeting. The Air India officials and Air India Express officials have already reached the DGCA office, and there's a first meeting where the DGCA have literally summoned the Air India.
There appears to be a little technical snag over there with Harsha's audio connection, but what she is telling us that the meeting has already begun. It's been an hour since the meeting began, and the DGCA is very serious about this meeting, keeping in mind the fact that it's not a virtual meeting. They have been summoned physically, and DGCA is taking stock of the situation. It's a serious matter over there. This is the update that Harsha has given us. Okay, moving on, viewers, we're getting more breaking as far as the Air India is concerned. Authorities are investigating the Ahmedabad plane crash, are examining the training records and the supporting documents that involved the dispatcher, along with detailed data of the cockpit's crew, qualifications, of the flight hours, and the recent performance assessments. And they are also seeking Directorate General of Civil Aviation has initiated a thorough review of the audio reports as well. So this is also another breaking coming in. Viewers, joining me live on this broadcast is my colleague Harsha. I believe Rakshita is joining me from the newsroom. Rakshita, now after these multiple technical snags that have been reported in the past 24 hours, we have seen that crash that claimed life of 242 people who were on board and many who were there inside that hostel. Now the DGCA is taking very serious cognizance after reprimanding the Air India and Air India Express officials. They have also sought that training qualification of those pilots as well who were in that ill-fated Air India aircraft. They're seeking all the details to get to the nadas of this entire crash. Rakshit.
Right, it's very scary, in fact, that the pilot training is coming under lens now. This is one of the oldest airlines that India has, and remember that there were many expectations after the Tatas took over, but it's only going from bad to worse. And now the DGCA, now after 242 people have been killed, we see that DGCA now summons the Air India engineering department head also today. We saw that the engineering officials also rushed to the DGCA office just today, and the meeting has begun with the 171 case and the other Boeing aircraft. The fleet also under scanner. Remember, the checks have been ordered. And if you talk about other airlines, I've interacted with people who are who are in the know-how of aviation sectors in other countries. Those safety checks that DGCA is now ordering, those things are a routine in other countries. It's a sad state of affairs that now all this is being investigated. And yes, there are many things that happen, like turbulence, which is a common thing. It can happen due to weather, but engine failures or the training of the pilots being under scanner, it's an alarming situation. Talking about the preliminary investigation of the Ahmedabad to London flight, it reveals that the minimum equipment list, it was flying with minimum equipment list, that is MEL, and this approval also comes from the DGCA. Now the DGCA also has many questions to answer here, Madhurima, as far as who gave the MEL approval to Air India as well. So both the DGCA also has to answer many questions, and why was there no quality check, no training check up until now? Why is it coming under scanner all of a sudden? Because of course, yes, it is the need of the hour after that biggest aviation tragedy. There is no other option for DGCA to do that. But the fact that there could be questions being raised on the training itself, on the equipment also, that of course speaks volume about how our aviation sector has been functioning, how it could jeopardize the lives of the passengers.
Well, absolutely, Rakshita, because some very tough decisions need to be taken now by the DGCA. They cannot turn a blind eye towards what's really happening. Multiple technical snags, 242 lives cost. Now, moving on, viewers, let us take you through the details of the crisis that has hit Air India. I'll toss it to my colleague Akanksha, who's going to take you through the details. Akanksha, over to you.
Absolutely, Madhurima, not just one or two, but 6 such incidents have come to the fore in the last 24 hours. Let me take you through the details and the graphics. I would request my team to pull up those graphics on the screen. The first incident took place yesterday as far as Air India is concerned. This is AI143, June 16, Hong Kong to Delhi flight made a U-turn right after it took off. 9 minutes after it took off, it took a U-turn. Mid-air glitch issue forces return back to Hong Kong. This was yesterday's Air India technical snag. All the passengers safely deboarded. All the passengers are okay. The inspection of the plane was undertaken by the authorities. Let's take you through another incident that took place yesterday. This is SV3112, June 16, air scare on Jeddah to Lucknow flight. We saw visuals of sparks and smoke coming out from the wheels of this specific plane. This is Saudi Arabian plane, and this in fact took place yesterday. Passengers of SV3112 disembarked safely, but again raises a lot of questions about the quality of the aircraft, because we saw very concerning visuals. The third incident took place yesterday. This is Delhi to Ranchi Air India flight. Plane makes a U-turn to Delhi over technical issue. Another example of technical issue as far as Air India is concerned. Technical issue reported after takeoff from the national capital. This is Delhi to Ranchi Air India flight. Flight operation resumed after inspection and clearance. So in all these cases, inspection was carried out after these very concerning incidents in fact took place. Now let's talk about what happened today. Air India AI143, June 17th, air scare on Mumbai Ahmedabad plane. This happened earlier today is what we're learning. Operational issue delays the flight. Passengers faced a lot of issue as far as this another Air India flight is concerned. It got cancelled over FDTL. This is AI2493. Let's talk about this fourth case, in fact, AI180, technical snag on San Francisco to Mumbai via Calcutta flight. This again faced the technical snag that was reported in the left engine. Again, an issue related to the engine, technical snag, delayed takeoff from Calcutta. Again, passengers were stranded at the airport. Now, let's pull up another graphic. This is Air India 915. This was Delhi to Dubai AI915 flight that got cancelled. Again, the reason was that of the technical snag. It got cancelled from both Delhi and Dubai, and the reason it turns out was again the technical issue in Air India Boeing 787. Very important to highlight this here, because this was the same Boeing Dreamliner that suffered the tragic crash 5-6 days back when 241 people lost their life. Again, the focus is on Boeing Dreamliner 787. Let's now talk about AI143, Air India Delhi to Paris flight got cancelled. Again, the issue was the technical thing. Hydraulic leak reported in Boeing 787, another 787 Dreamliner aircraft which was operated by Air India suffered this a hydraulic leak in the engine. Now this is the last incident, the eighth and the final one. Air India 159, Air India flight from Ahmedabad to London got cancelled, and again the reason was because of the technical snag is what we're learning. Takeoff cancelled after the technical snag. This is AI159. In the last 24 hours, not just one or two, 6 Air India flights, Madhurima, faced the technical snag. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Akansha, for that detailed report. Moving on, viewers, we're getting more breaking news at the moment. Air India has issued a statement confirming that flight AI143 from Delhi to Paris, scheduled for June 17th, has been cancelled after mandatory pre-flight check identified as technical issue. While the issue is currently being addressed, the airline stated that due to night operation restrictions at the Paris, the flight could not be rescheduled and therefore was cancelled. So therefore, once again, this time, which could be one of the very few times when that means Air India agrees to a technical snag. Joining me live on this broadcast is my colleague Rakshita. She continues to stay there at the newsroom. Rakshita, now Air India is saying that there was a technical snag, and which is why they could not fly the Delhi to Paris flight. Now, this was the 6th technical snag reported in the past 24 hours. It does not seem to be going well for Air India. Absolutely. Even the international flights, especially in focus over here, just getting you more details of that flight. This was a mandatory pre-flight check. He identified the issue which is being presently addressed. And remember, there has been just a few days before the DGCA has ordered mandatory safety checks of all the Boeing, especially Boeing 737 Dreamliners. And in view of the flight coming under the restrictions on night operations at the CDG airport, the flight has now been cancelled. Now, Air India goes on to say that they're providing hotel accommodation, also offering full refunds, and that's what normally any airline should be doing. Consequently, they say that flight from Paris to Delhi stands cancelled. So the other flight, AI143 from Paris to Delhi on the 18th of June, also stands cancelled. So we understand the effect it has on air travel. The fact that this Boeing Dreamliner has been under scanner, and the technical faults that are being now exposed because of increased vigilance. Now, the fact that we are breaking more and more news about such airlines is because there is more scrutiny now. Had there been no reportage, has there been no pressure, with this coverage, these things could be easily ignored, and we've seen passengers who have been reeling under the circumstances. We have seen multiple airlines who just get away with such cancellations and just not explaining as to what really happened. And now you see the way they even issue these statements and bring more in-depth, understanding of what really happened. So the way they are explaining their reasons also behind the cancellation is also exposing that how they have been very much negligent in the past, and now each and every issue, big or small, but there can be no issue that can be anyway dismissed as small because it could be, jeopardizing the security of those on board. So henceforth we see many flights are now under scan, and the mandatory pre-flight checks, which should happen worldwide as far as all airlines are concerned, it happens too. Now we see Air India conducting these mandatory checks all the more and with more scrutiny, and henceforth we see these two flights are now cancelled.
Well, thank you, Rakshita, for those details. Moving on, viewers, in fact, like I said, that there have been multiple snags and cancellations in the past 24 hours. Another flight, AI159 from Ahmedabad to London, was cancelled after a technical snag yet again was reported. My colleague Gopi was there at the Ahmedabad airport where she spoke to some of very miffed passengers over there. Take a look.
ये फ़्लाइट कैंसिल क्यों हुई? आपने कितनी बार ये फ़्लाइट कैंसिल हुई है? आप कब आए, कितने बजे आए? आपका परिवार भी आपके साथ आया है, कुछ बताएंगे?
I booked a flight on 14 June because we want to back in London on 14 June. But on the 13th June, I got an email that you have to cancel this flight because of the atmosphere and weather. So they emailed me that you have to reschedule your ticket, and on they emailed me that you have to reschedule on 17 June. I got email on 12 p.m. in the morning that your flight is cancelled. 17 June flight cancelled. So my husband is there on the window, and he's doing that. We want to do new flight, and they are doing.
तो यही सेम फ्लाइट पहले 2 बार और भी कैंसिल हो चुकी है।
हाँ, 2 बार हमारी ये फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुई है, और एयर इंडिया कोई जवाब नहीं देते। हम मैसेज भी करते तो इतना होल्ड होता है, हमको 15-15 मिनट होल्ड रखना पड़ता है, और हमको सामने से भी अच्छा कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आता है एयर इंडिया में से। अब हम लोग अभी अगली बार से एयर इंडिया में आने वाले नहीं है।
हम इधर आए तो बता रहे थे कि फ्लाइट है वो डिले हुई है 3 आवर्स, सो हमको 1 PM की जगह 3 PM का टाइम दिया, और अभी जब टाइम बोर्डिंग का आया, अंदर जाने का आया, चेक इन का टाइम आया, तो वो लोग बोल रहे हैं कि अब फ्लाइट कैंसिल हो गई है। सो वो लोग अच्छे से रिफंड का भी आंसर नहीं दे रहे हैं। हम लोग कॉल सेंटर में बात कर रहे हैं, वहाँ भी कोई भी कॉल रिसीव नहीं कर रहा है, और वो लोग यही बता रहे हैं कि हम आपको 10-15 दिन में रिफंड कर देंगे।
Did they tell you what is the reason behind the cancellation of this particular airplane?
Actually, when we reached here, there are 3-4 persons from the Air India Airlines, and the reasons stated by them are different. There are 3 persons who are here to respond, and each and every person is giving a different reply. One is saying that there is some technical issue. The second one is saying that there is a delay in the flight to reach here from Delhi to Ahmedabad. Therefore, today takeoff is not possible, and other reasons are being stated which are not plausible.
More breaking news coming in, viewers. A high-level multidisciplinary committee formed by the Centre to investigate the recent Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad. And now this committee is going to submit its report within 3 months. Moving on, the centre has also said that the safety checks have been completed of the Air India 787 Boeing Dreamliner aircraft fleet. There are 34 of them, and now Center is going to submit a report in 3 months. Remember, this was also promised by Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu during that press conference, that it's going to be a time-bound investigation, because an answer in this entire connection is imperative, and which is why now we're learning that the government is that this particular committee is going to give and submit the report within 3 months. Now we're getting more visuals over there on your screens, viewer. Now this is the visual from Ahmedabad plane crash site, and now this is an exclusive visual that Republic Media Network has accessed for you, as you can see, as to how there are people jumping off the roof over there. This has surfaced, and this shows the aftermath of the massive explosion and devastation by fire caused by that incident. This is a heart-wrenching video circulating on social media. Viewers, this reveals the scenes of chaos with students and staff seen jumping off that building, trying to make an effort to save their lives. So you can imagine as to what would have really happened there, that they had to resort to this, that is jumping off and risking their life in such a manner, because at that time there were no options left. And in order to save their lives, you can see on your screens how these men are helping each other to reach the ground. They are jumping off from one balcony to another, and this has happened. This is the aftermath. So the plane has already crashed in the building at this point. This is the back of that particular building, and you can see these men, they are trying a desperate attempt to save their lives, as you can see, by risking it altogether, where they are trying to help each other by jumping from one balcony to another in order to reach the ground safely. So these are the visuals you can see, viewers. This is the aftermath. This is the aftermath of what really happened. This is the crash site. This is the backside of that hostel that suffered. Now moving on, viewers, in a new incident that has been highlighted ongoing, the language row in Karnataka has come to fore, where an elderly man went into an argument and therefore followed with a clash with a shop owner over compliance of state government's rule for a commercial signboard. Here's a report. Take a look.
ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದವನು ಈ ನೆಲದವನು ಕನ್ನಡ 60% ಇರಬೇಕು ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಓಕೆ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ
This is India and we are living here. You are nobody to tell me what I have to do.
A fresh language-related confrontation has surfaced in Bengaluru, highlighting the ongoing Kannada language debate. An elderly man clashed with a woman shop owner over the compliance of the state government rules for commercial signboards. In the 44-second clip that has now gone viral, the shop owner accuses the elderly man of torture over English signboard, saying, "This is Kannada land."
ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದವನು ಈ ನೆಲದವನು ಕನ್ನಡ 60% ಇರಬೇಕು ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಓಕೆ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ
This is India and we are living here. You are nobody to tell me what I have to do.
The man then confronted her, demanding to change the signboard to comply with Kannada language rules.
This man is torturing me to change the board to Kannada. Already my board is having Kannada.
The shop owner insisted that a text in Kannada is already written on the board, but the man continues to argue that the Kannada text must cover 60% of it. The man later threatened the shop owner, saying he will file a complaint against her. In the video, the woman is also seen questioning the elderly man over his request.
Who are you to tell me?
I will public. I Karnataka.
To which he replies that he is a public citizen from Karnataka and has every right to point out the signboard. The Kannada Language Comprehensive Development Act of 2024 requires that 60% of all commercial, industrial, institutional and public signboards in Karnataka be in Kannada, which has previously sparked outrage in the state. The Act also says that the Kannada text must occupy the upper half of the board, with the remaining 40% allowed in any other language.
Moving on, viewers, Ambassador Deepak Vora explains India's balanced stance on the Israel-Iran conflict. With strong ties to both nations, India promotes dialogue and diplomacy without choosing sides. He highlights how India's strategic autonomy, its role as a voice for the global south, and the importance of peace in global affairs. Take a look.
Vande Mataram. My name is Ambassador Deepak Vora and I am Special Advisor in some African countries. We are going to talk today about an issue that is exercising a lot of minds, and I read a lot of stuff in the Indian and international media about the challenge that India's diplomacy faces because of the conflict between Israel and Iran, both friends of India. Let me set this in perspective. We never allow our relationship with any one country to determine our relationship with another country. Chanakya had said something very interesting 2,400 years ago, that my enemy's enemy can be my friend. He did not say that my friend's enemy must also be my enemy. We are friends with both. We compartmentalize our relationship. As far as Israel is concerned, the relationship has a very strong defense component. It has a very strong agricultural component and education and high technology. With Iran, we were major importers of oil, but because of American pressure and sanctions, we do not import oil from Iran at the moment. So that can be ruled out. Anybody who says that we're not going to be able to get oil from Iran and oil prices in India, therefore, will rise as a result of that is talking nonsense. Essentially, I'm sorry to be rough, but that doesn't make any sense. However, the Chabahar port, which we have invested in and which was to provide an alternative route to Central Europe and beyond, bypassing Atta.
विमल में गुलिस्तां की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
Ini filo. Wow, vai bater esse cu.
As you can see behind me, this is the result of the latest barrage of rockets fired at our residential communities by Iran. It's continuing the pattern as we're seeing. Each and every one of these scenes are targeting residential communities.
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
Ini filo.
Wow, we got this cool.
As you can see behind me, this is the result of the latest barrage of rockets fired at our residential communities by Iran. It's continuing the pattern as we're seeing. Each and every one of these scenes are targeting residential communities, civilians in their homes.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Republic TV with me, Akanksha Khajuria. West Asia is on the edge. We'll get you more updates on the escalation that has been going on in the last 5 days. But first up, as always, the headlines. Exclusive input on Ahmedabad plane crash probe. Top sources say black box to be examined in India.
2 बार हमारी ये फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुई है और एयर इंडिया कोई जवाब नहीं देते। अब हम लोग अभी अगली बार से एयर इंडिया में आने वाले नहीं हैं।
Massive crisis hits Air India. Multiple flights report technical snags and cancellation. Passengers have been left stranded. Goa Lucknow Indigo flight faces mid-air turbulence. 10 minutes after takeoff, pilot regains control, averts a major incident. Israeli military says it killed Iran's wartime chief of staff. Israel-Iran conflict has escalated. Prime Minister is in Canada today to attend G7 summit to meet Zelensky as well on the sidelines of the summit. Hello and welcome. You're watching Live and Breaking with me, Akanksha Khajuria. Let's start the bulletin with the updates coming in from the Middle East. In the wake of the Middle East conflict, several students have been evacuated from Iran. Some of them are students from Kashmir, in fact, who are awaiting their return home as their families await for them. Republic brings you this exclusive report live from, such incidents and such people who are stuck there. Have a look. So a lot of students are stuck in Iran. As many as 10,000 people are in Iran. 6,000 of them are students. Most of them are Kashmiri. In fact, evacuation process is currently underway to relocate them to other parts of the country or to bring them to the Armenian border. And this is the evacuation step that the Indian government is taking as far as bringing people to safer place is concerned. Let me go across to my colleague Zeenat, who brings us the testimonies of such families whose kids are currently in Iran, stuck there. Zeenat, tell us about their stories. Who are these families, and are they worried right now that their kid is stuck there?
See, scores of children are still stuck at Iran, and that have left families worried. The families are moving from pillar to post to get them more information about their kids. Although the communication system is down in the Iran, they're trying the best to get in touch, to know about whereabouts of these kids and how to provide a help. I'm joined by one such family member from Nishat, Srinagar. His niece is stuck in Tehran. पहले तो अपना नाम बताइए और कौन जो है जो तेहरान में फंसे हुए।
जी, मेरा नाम मोहम्मद अयूब है, मैं निशात से हूँ और मेरी भाई की बेटी है वहाँ पर, वो पढ़ रही है, स्टूडेंट है, पिछले साल ही गई है तो अभी कम्युनिकेशन का जो मसला यहाँ पर अभी हो रहा है, तो उसमें से हमको कल वहाँ उसके बाद बात हुई थी और उसके बाद सुबह अर्ली मॉर्निंग में हमारे साथ बात हुई थी। तो वहाँ से हमको उन्होंने मैसेज दिया कि हम अभी तेहरान से कुम की तरफ गए हैं और कुछ इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स को 110 के करीब लगभग आधों को रशिया में लिया है, आधों को अभी 90 के ऊपर से अभी स्टूडेंट को वहाँ पर स्टे कराया है आर्मेनिया में। तो मैं भी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से यही अपील करता हूँ जनाब पीएम नरेंद्र मोदी से एंड एमए मिस्टर जो हमारे फॉरेन मिनिस्टर है एस जयशंकर साहब से, उनके बहुत शुक्रगुजार कि अभी उन्हें एक्यूएट बहुत सारे रिलोकेट किए हैं बच्चे, उसके लिए उनके लिए थैंक्स कर रहे हैं।
तो अभी जो आपकी नीस वहाँ है कि कुछ फ़ोन पे या कोई मैसेज देके बताया कि किस तरह की डिफ़िकल्टी जो है स्टूडेंट्स को आ रही है और कितना नंबर है कश्मीरी स्टूडेंट्स का जो अभी भी ईरान में फंसा हुआ है?
अभी स्टूडेंट्स के नंबर है वो JNK की, खासकर मैं JNK की बात अभी कर रहा हूँ, तो अब वो 1300 से लेके 1400 स्टूडेंट्स है और अभी उनकी जो कम्युनिकेशन की प्रॉब्लम आ रही है और ऊपर से जो उनकी फूड और वाटर की प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, वो दो प्रॉब्लम है वहाँ। बाकी जो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता अभी आई होप कि जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया है वो कोशिश करे कि सब बच्चे वहाँ सेफ से वहाँ दूसरे कंट्री में शिफ्ट कर सकते हैं।
तो अभी जो है कम्युनिकेशन जो है काफ़ी डाउन है, फ़ोन कॉल्स नहीं लग रहे, ना वहाँ से है ना यहाँ से कम्युनिकेशन। तो इसमें किस तरह से आप लोग अपने आप को अपडेट कर रहे हैं? जो फैमिलीज़ आपके इन टच है तो वो किस तरह से जो है कम्युनिकेशन का प्रोसेस चल रहा है?
अभी आप देख सकते हैं जो कम्युनिकेशन डिपेंड्स, अभी सब जो है वो कम्युनिकेशन पे डिपेंड होता है हर जगह। आप किसी भी चैनल से देखिए, इंटरनेट पे डिपेंड है सारा। अभी हम बीच बीच में जब भी हम बीच में ट्राई मार रहे हैं, कभी वहाँ से भी वो कॉल करते, खाली जस्ट 5 मिनट्स वो टॉक होती है, उसके बाद कम्युनिकेशन नहीं होती है। वहाँ पर भी बैड नेटवर्क है। उनकी जो अभी वहाँ की एयर स्पेस है वो भी उन्होंने बंद की है। अभी टेक्नोलॉजी का दौर है तो ये डिपेंड्स होता है कम्युनिकेशन पे।
तो अभी जो आपकी नीस ने जब लास्ट टाइम बात की थी तो कुछ बताया था कि किस तरह का डिस्ट्रक्शन हो रहा है, कहाँ क्या हुआ है और उन्होंने अभी तक अपनी आंखों से क्या देखा?
2 दिन पहले उसने बताया जब फर्स्ट डे वहाँ पर बहुत से अभी यूनिवर्सिटी पे भी वहाँ हमला हुआ था, उस टाइम ड्रोन हमला हुआ था और बॉयज़ हॉस्टल पे भी वहाँ हमला हुआ था। उसमें लगभग हमारी जो इन्फॉर्मेशन आई थी फ्रेंड से या मीडिया थ्रू से, तो वहाँ पर कश्मीरी के 2 बच्चे इंजर्ड हुए थे। तो उसके बाद
इंजर्ड हुए थे किस यूनिवर्सिटी के?
वो तेहरान की यूनिवर्सिटी में बॉयज़ जो हॉस्टल है, बॉयज़ हॉस्टल में, उसमें हमारे यहाँ के MP रोला आगा साहब, हम उसके बड़े शुक्रगुजार हैं। जो भी वो उनके साथ कम्युनिकेशन उनकी बहुत अच्छी है ईरान के साथ, तो वो बीच बीच में हमारे ट्विटर पे वो मैसेज सेंड करते हैं, डिमांड करते हैं क्या क्या है वहाँ पर हालात।
अभी जो है कि कुछ आइडिया है कि जो कश्मीरी स्टूडेंट जैसे आर्मेनिया की तरफ लेके गए हैं, कुछ कौम में कल स्टे करवाया है, तो कितने कश्मीरी स्टूडेंट्स है और ओवरऑल इंडिया का कितना नंबर है जो अभी भी फंसा है?
अभी मेरे ख्याल से ऑल ओवर इंडिया की बात करेंगे तो वहाँ से तकरीबन 15,000 से 16,000 बच्चे वहाँ पर ऑल इंडिया के हैं। अभी कम से कम उन्होंने 10,000 से ऊपर बच्चे वहाँ से निकाले हैं। हम उसके लिए अप्रिशिएट करते हैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को कि उनके बच्चे इतने बच्चे वहाँ से वो सेफ निकल गए हैं, उसके लिए हम अप्रिशिएट करते हैं।
अभी तो एयर स्पेस बंद है तो घर आना तो नामुमकिन है, तो ऐसे किस तरह से देखते हैं इस तरह के चैलेंजिंग पीरियड को और आगे क्या स्ट्रेटजी है पेरेंट्स की तरफ से?
अभी लगभग अभी बहुत सारे कंट्रीज जैसे USA है, अभी रशिया है, चाइना है, दूसरे कंट्रीज है, सऊदी अरब है, इंडिया, हमारा इंडिया है। तो अभी हम आपस में ये बातचीत करते हैं कि सीज फायर होना चाहिए। अगर सीज फायर हुआ तो अभी मेरे ख्याल से उन बच्चों को अगर एक वीक के लिए आया, 10 दिन के, जब तक सीज फायर हो जाए, आर्मेनिया एक कंट्री है, अजरबैजान है, अफगानिस्तान से, जहाँ से बॉर्डर हमको दूसरे कंट्री से मिलते हैं, जहाँ हमारे रिलेशंस बहुत अच्छे हैं इंडिया के साथ, उनके साथ वहाँ रख सकते हैं। उसके बाद उनको एक्टिवेट दोबारा वहाँ से उनको, क्योंकि एग्जाम्स भी आ रहे हैं उनके, तो वो अच्छा रहेगा, लेकिन वो सेफ होने चाहिए पहले दूसरी कंट्री से। जब तक सीज फायर नहीं होगा अभी हमारे को भरोसा नहीं है कि क्या हो जाएगा। अभी डिपेंड है इसराइल और ईरान पे।
So the parents are looking for ceasefire between the two countries so that evacuation is done, and also the parents are worried because the exams are near.
Absolutely, families there demanding that their family members in Iran should be moved to a safer place. Thank you, Zeenat, for getting us that ground report. Now, shifting our focus, in fact, we have breaking news coming in. Israeli Air Force has completed several extensive strikes on military targets of the Iranian regime in western Iran. During the strikes, the dozen of surface-to-surface missile storage and launch infra was struck. In addition to this, surface-to-air missile launchers and UAV storage strikes were also struck in western Iran. And the visuals of that you can see on your screens. IDF, that is Israel Defense Forces, has destroyed the Iran military targets. They have targeted the nuclear facilities there. They have also targeted several top military officials as far as Iran is concerned. We are witnessing escalation in West Asia. It continues to be on the boil. In the last 5 days, we have seen attack and counter-attack coming in from Iran and Israel. Iran has also launched several attacks on Israel, destroying their buildings. Several people there as well losing their life. So this escalation continues as far as West Asia is concerned. In the visuals, you can also see the Israel and Iran war exploding. On the visuals, you can see these are the areas where Israel Defense Forces have launched their attack as far as Iran is concerned, be it military bases or the nuclear facilities, the oil depot in Iran is concerned. And they have, in fact, issued and released these videos that you can see on the screen right there. And this is coming even as the G7 summit is going on. Remember, earlier today on the right side of your screen, you can see Donald Trump, President of United States, cutting short his visit for the G7 summit. He had to head back for a very crucial meeting as far as Israel and Iran conflict is concerned. So it definitely seems that the conflict is now escalating with both sides launching attacks on each other. Now, viewers, let's get you more visuals from across Iran and Israel as far as this conflict is concerned. Let's get you those videos there on the screen. As you can see in the visuals, what IDF has said that they have killed one of their top military officials once again. You can see there on the visuals, Israel Air Force has hit the Tehran air base as well. So be it airport in Iran, nuclear facilities, military bases, their residential buildings as well. So these have been attacked by Israel. You can see there on the map as well, Israel is quite far from Iran. And these missiles have been launched in Tehran at several locations, be it Tabriz, Natanz, where the main nuclear facility is. And these are the visuals that IDF has released that we are showing to you on the screen. Several places there attacked by Israel. Now let's show you more videos as far as this conflict is concerned. This is a video of IDF taking out attack on Iran. Now, let's have a look at this video of Israel destroying the missile launcher troops as well. And this is a video that has been released by Israel military forces. There they are destroying the missile launch troops, as you can see on the screen. Big blast there. And the video on your screen completely shows how this escalation has only grown. Meanwhile, these are the visuals from the aftermath of the Iran attack on Tel Aviv. These are the visuals of just 2 days back when Iran launched attack on Tel Aviv. Several places, buildings were destroyed. They caught fire. There was damage that was reported in Tel Aviv area as well. Jerusalem was also a place that was attacked by Iran. Now, look at this video as well. These are in fact, high-rise residential area being targeted, and these are the visuals coming in from Tel Aviv. We've been seeing these visuals from the past 5 days. Several deaths have been reported, is what we are learning. Several high-rise buildings have been targeted by Iran. Now have a look at this visual. This is a visual of Israel taking down Iran UAV. Israel has neutralized Iranian drones, and they have released these footages to show the world how much damage they have incurred on Iran. They have neutralized their drones as well, and these are the visuals that we can see on the screen of Iran, in fact, targeting the Israel targeting the Iran UAVs. Now let's have a look at video number 6. These are the visuals of Iran missile launch troops being eliminated. Another video released by Israel Defense Forces. As you can see in the visuals, Iran missile launch troops being eliminated, and a big blast there that we can see on the screen. Now let's have a look at video number 8. Israel's precise strikes have also destroyed the missile launch pads across Iran. This is the part of Israel's mission to obliterate launch pads and other military assets of Iran. Big blast we can see there as well. As far as Iran is concerned, several big and main areas, including the nuclear facilities, have been attacked. And this is last video that we are going to show you. This happened yesterday when the US Embassy in Tel Aviv received minor damage, but there was no casualty that was reported. The missile struck near the Tel Aviv branch, and it was the conclusive force of the missile that damaged the building. There was shattered glass on the floor. There was minor damage, no casualty reported so far, and this comes amid the threat by Donald Trump as well that if any US assets are attacked, then Iran will face the wrath. Alright, so we have another breaking news coming in. Iran has reportedly launched a missile strike targeting an Israeli military intelligence logistics center near the Gilot base close to Tel Aviv. According to the Iranian sources, several missiles were launched from Iran, and successfully they have struck in Tel Aviv, marking a significant escalation. And we are showing you visuals of, in fact, that attack that took place. Remember, Iran attacked the US Embassy yesterday, and today we are seeing the new attacks and further escalation. Now let me go across to Dan Pfefferman, who is live from us from Tel Aviv. Dan, thank you for speaking to Republic TV. We are learning that after the attack on US Embassy yesterday, today Iran has attacked new places as far as Israel is concerned. How would you assess this, and how do you believe that this is only, the escalation is only growing each and every day?
Actually, I see it the other way. I see the Iranian regime going quite desperate. From what the sources we're seeing is that Israel has managed to neutralize or take out some 40% so far of Iran's ballistic missile capabilities. The regime is desperate. Senior leaders are being assassinated one by one in the military and IRGC. Regime officials are under increasing pressure. Their military infrastructure is under increasing pressure. The nuclear infrastructure is under increasing pressure. So they are really doing what they can. And from what we see also, they're growing quite desperate and seeking a way out of this via the United States.
Absolutely, fresh escalation that we can see there in the visuals as well. And this is also coming at a time, Dan, when a G7 summit is going on. In fact, earlier today, Donald Trump cut short his visit as far as Canada is concerned. He has gone back for a very crucial meeting. And he has said that this is not about the ceasefire. This is about something bigger. How do you see the involvement of the United States as far as this entire escalation is concerned?
It's a bit of a breath of fresh air, seeing the lack of moral courage or clarity over the last year and a half on the war against Hamas. It's refreshing to see the G7 countries led by the United States here very clearly taking a clear stance supporting Israel's strikes on Iran. I think the fact that Israel has been successful in doing this in a pinpoint manner against regime installations and nuclear facilities helps the fact that there's very little civilian collateral damage. But it's clear to the international community, has been for many, many years, that this is a regime that is the engine of all radicalization in the region, and it cannot be allowed to have the world's most dangerous weapon, nuclear weapons. And so there seems to be support for Israel's strikes, something that the world supports but could never do themselves. And I think we're going to see the United States and hopefully the G7 countries, but really led by the United States, pushing the Iranian regime to accept what is essentially surrender. And they're going to need to give up this nuclear program. And actually, I think we're going to see a lot more demands. The pressure is so strong right now on the Iranian regime and the entire leadership infrastructure that we're going to be in a position for the West here and for the international community to make much stronger demands in exchange for the regime's survival.
I also want to get your perspective on the G7 statement that has come. In fact, they have not come out in support of Iran but Israel. They have said that Iran is the principal source of the regional instability and terror. We have been consistently clear that Iran can never have the nuclear weapon. How do you see the G7 countries coming together against Iran?
It's absolutely crucial, and it's a reflection of reality. I think that's absolutely accurate. Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, this regime has been the main engine of instability and radicalization in the Middle East, certainly for the last 20 years. And the fact that they have almost without impunity continued to de-radicalize, attack Israel, attack different moderate or stable regimes in the region, trying to radicalize, trying to promote proxy groups and terrorist groups, and also trying to radicalize a lot of what we see in the West as well, and in different parts of the world. And so it's refreshing, and I think it's encouraging to see such a clear statement from the G7 countries that they can no longer accept this behavior from the Iranian regime, and that they're getting behind the act that Israel undertook.
One more question before I let you go. How do you see this escalation panning out, at least in the coming week? Because in the last 5 days, we have only seen that the escalation is only growing. There have been attacks and counterattacks from Iran on Israel. Several people have lost their life. Where do you see this go in the coming week?
Yeah, I think Israel's strikes over the last 5 days have been an absolute masterclass in how to conduct such a military operation, something the world long warned was never possible with a regime such as Iran. And you can see the combination of intelligence superiority and technological superiority and aerial superiority by Israel over Iran, in that over the course of the last 5 days, they've really, I don't want to say quite brought down Iran to its knees, but very close to it. The pressure is building. So we're not going to see an escalation. I think you're going to see a desperation from the side of Iran. You see their capabilities being degraded day by day by Israeli airstrikes, cyber strikes. I won't be surprised if you see more surprises from within Iran. It could be proxy groups or dissident groups. You saw already Iranian cyber groups taking action against the SEPA bank, which transfers and facilitates a lot of finance for the IRGC and for the regime. I think you're going to possibly even be seeing, as the regime gets more degraded and as more senior leaders and infrastructure are taken out or neutralized, you could even be seeing uprisings among the Iranian people who have been the main victims of this regime for the last 50 years. And you could see the regime itself be in serious existential threat. Who knows? We might even see a scenario just like Assad boarded a plane to Russia. You could see a scenario, and we have seen requests by senior Iranian leaders asking for Russian assistance to secure their potential escape. So it could go even as far as that. I don't want to say that's what's going to happen yet, but that is an increasing possibility as the success of the Israeli strikes and the Israeli intelligence penetration becomes even more clear over the coming days.
Remains to be seen how it pans out in the coming weeks. Thank you, Dan, for all the details, and thank you so much for speaking to Republic TV. In fact, we have these fresh visuals coming in from central Israel showing aftermath of the area hit early in the morning today following the Iranian missile strike. You can see that the emergency crew is there on the ground assessing the situation. They are taking stock of the situation. Rescue services were seen putting out the fire on Tuesday morning. We got to know that there were Iranian strike in central Israel. This is quite close to the Tel Aviv area. The Iranian missile have struck on central Israel. Rescue services were putting out fire since morning. Emergency crew is there on the screen as well, taking stock of the situation. Well, the leaders of the G7 nations, Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom and United States have voiced their support for Israel and condemned Iran as the primary source of terror. In a statement, European foreign ministers have also urged Iran to return to nuclear negotiation with the United States and avoid escalating conflict with Israel. Donald Trump dramatically left the G7 summit in Canada a day early to rush back to Washington with the French president, claiming that US leader was considering the prospect of a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has condemned Macron's statement by saying that something bigger than ceasefire is coming. India has started evacuating its nationals from Iran amid the escalating tensions between Tehran and Israel. The first batch of 110 Indian nationals who have safely crossed into Armenia will fly to the national capital tomorrow. MEA has urged Indian nationals living in Tehran to evacuate and contact the embassy as well. The military exchanges worsened between Israel and Iran overnight. Israeli strikes hit multiple locations in Iran, including its capital, Tehran. IAF completed several extensive strikes on military targets of the Iranian regime in western Iran, and during the strikes, dozens of surface-to-surface missile storage and launch infra was struck. In addition to this, surface-to-air missile launchers and UAV storage sites were also struck in western Iran. Iran's missiles have struck deep inside Israel, causing significant damage to the key infrastructure there. One of the hardest hit sites is Haifa oil refinery, where pipelines and transmission lines were damaged in the assault. The attack marks a major escalation in the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict, raising concerns over the regional stability and the potential for a broader war as well. Now, despite the damage, Israeli authorities report that there is no casualty and say that the core refinery operations are still active. And with this, we're taking a very short break. Coming up on the other side, Goa-Lucknow Indigo faces mid-air turbulence 10 minutes after the takeoff. Pilot regains control and averts a major accident. This and much more on the other side. Stay with us.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जलजीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जलजीरा जीरा सिप MDH का जलजीरा जीरा सिप।
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुलें तो जी लग जाए, और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबान कैसी?
Wow, bebatesiku.
As you can see behind me, this is the result of the latest barrage of rockets fired at our residential communities by Iran. It's continuing the pattern as we're seeing. Each and every one of these scenes are targeting residential communities, civilians in their homes.
विमल में गुलिस्तां की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ गुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की इस जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबा केसरी।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Ini Philo. Wow, bebates iku.
As you can see behind me, this is the result of the latest barrage of rockets fired at our residential communities by Iran. It's continuing the pattern as we're seeing. Each and every one of these scenes are targeting residential communities, civilians in their homes.
אחרי שקיבלנו את ההתראות בלילה, נכנסנו לממ"ד, המתנו, היה את האזעקה, המתנו.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
A very good evening, viewers. You're watching Live and Breaking. I'm Rakshita Mishra with you, viewers, and we get you all the latest updates on the war in West Asia. Latest updates coming in on Republic TV and more insights on that. First, the headlines at 5. Exclusive input on Ahmedabad plane crash probe. Top sources say black box to be examined in India.
2 बार हमारी ये फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुई है और एयर इंडिया कोई जवाब नहीं देते। अब हम लोग अभी अगली बार से एयर इंडिया में आने वाले नहीं है।
Massive crisis hits Air India. Multiple flight reports, technical snags and cancellations. Passengers left stranded. Goa to Lucknow Indigo flight faces mid-air turbulence. 10 minutes after takeoff, pilot regains control, averts a major accident. Israeli military says it has killed Iran's wartime chief of staff. Israel-Iran conflict escalating. Prime Minister Modi in Canada to attend the G7 summit to meet Zelensky on the sidelines of the summit. All right, we start with breaking news coming in from West Asia. Now, Iran has said that it has attacked Israeli military intelligence logistics center near Tel Aviv. That is the breaking news we have right now. Iran reportedly has attacked Israeli military hub, the Israeli military intel center. That's the big breaking news we have right now. In fact, there are reports of coming in that it has hit the Mossad headquarters as well. These are only reports coming in. That's what Iran is claiming. But the situation, viewers, is only escalating. And we'll try and get more details from Jerusalem, from Tel Aviv, because this is the video that we have, that we are getting to you. We have Yeshaya Rosenman, senior journalist, joining us live from Israel, Jerusalem. Now, Yeshaya, we see dramatic visuals coming in from Israel as well. In the latest, Iran is claiming that it has attacked Israeli military intelligence logistics center as well, and also the Mossad headquarters.
Hi, good afternoon from Jerusalem. So, to be honest, I don't have confirmation of this yet. Both the military intelligence and the Mossad headquarters are in the vicinity of Tel Aviv, a place called Glilot, and it's unclear yet. There is no confirmation as of yet what has been hit. A missile has hit in the vicinity. There was also a big movie theater there, so it's unclear yet what has been hit.
What is the situation right now? What we understand that Israeli airstrikes also continue over Tehran and several other areas, and Iran also continues to fire ballistic missiles.
Yes, so Israel has achieved complete aerial superiority over Western Iran, taken out all the air defenses. Israeli planes and drones circle constantly over Iran for surveillance and to hit sites. Beyond that, ballistic missiles have been coming in every night. Usually they are at night because liquid-fueled missiles take a long time to arm, and Iran wants to do it without them being detected, so they shoot ballistic missiles at night. Every night they have been coming in. There have been hits in the greater Tel Aviv area and Haifa up north. Yes, so people are going to the shelters in the middle of the night. It's very unpleasant and causes anxiety. But it's quite clear that Israel has hit much more high-value targets within Iran, and many of them, a far greater number of them.
Right, and the fact that Israel claims it has also removed the military chief, the top one of the top commanders, the senior commanders of the IRGC, and many such on target as well. Also to understand that Netanyahu made it very clear that even they could expand the operation to the Iranian leadership as well. That eliminating Ayatollah Khamenei could just end the conflict instead of escalate it. So, what are you understanding as far as that is concerned?
So the Iranian state has a dual structure of the government, which is appointed by the supreme leader, and the Revolutionary Guards. They have their own parallel government. So Israel has already eliminated a large number of Revolutionary Guard top brass and also military figures. At this point, the most recent developments have been cyber attacks, Israeli cyber attacks on Iranian banks and other installations. It's unclear if and when Supreme Leader Khamenei is will be targeted, and what the result of that will be. At what stage the Iranian people will simply revolt against the regime. Will the Americans join in bombing, given that America has far greater, much more powerful firepower? It's unclear. These are developments that we will see in the coming days.
Yes, Yeshaya, just stay on with us. There's another breaking update that we are tracking right now. Viewers, Iran has demanded action from the United Nations Security Council now to stop Israel's, what it calls Israel's war of aggression. So once again, we see that Iran is demanding the condemnation and also appealing that Israel must be held accountable for the strikes. Yeshaya, I would come to you on this as well. Iran continues to say that it is aggression, it is war of aggression from Israel, that it continues to hit its civilian targets. More than 200 have lost their lives, that what Iran has said. But what do you understand as far as the geopolitical support for Israel is concerned? Because the United States earlier had this stance that it did not know about the strikes. Later on, it went to, it in fact demonstrated that its own resources are being mobilized. We see the U.S. Navy and Air Force also being mobilized to different air bases as well. And now we see Donald Trump cutting short his G7 summit trip, and he comes back, chairs a meeting, also talks about a real deal between the two countries. What do you make of the support, and what could be next as far as Israel's operation is concerned?
Yes, so the great Western powers all came out supporting Israel. Britain, even France, which is usually not supportive of Israel, came out supporting us. United States has given full support so far. Donald Trump has been threatening Iran militarily, mobilizing forces. America has veto power at the Security Council, so any threat of Iran at the Security Council will obviously be vetoed. And the only countries that have come out denouncing us are Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, UAE, both for tactical reasons, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan for public opinion. And I believe there was one more country, but as a rule, we have the countries that are important for Israel are all on our side, the great Western powers. And of course, Prime Minister Modi has issued a very cautious statement in line with Indian diplomatic tradition, on one hand supporting Israel, on the other hand calling for peace, regional peace and stability. But it is clear that India is also supportive of Israel and opposes revolutionary violent activities of the Iranian regime. That is a long-standing Indian policy as well.
Before that you go, Yeshaya, we understand that this is only escalating day in and day out. We see that the attacks are only getting intense from both the sides. What is really next, given the fact how there is evacuation on a large level, a massive level that is happening in Tehran as well? What really is going to happen next from here on?
It's clear to me that a full victory means toppling the regime in Iran. Netanyahu is openly speaking about that. Trump is giving veiled threats about that. So the question is, how to achieve that? In other words, if America joins in the battle, they can bomb, for example, the nuclear sites at Fordo and Parchin, which are deep underground, under 70 to 90 meters of rock. So America can bring in greater firepower. But I would be very surprised if America brings boots on the ground. But the question is, if the 100% complete victory would be toppling the regime, how is that to be achieved? I don't know.
Right. Yeshaya Rosen, thanks so much for joining us from Jerusalem with those updates coming in from ground.
Welcome.
Right, viewers, we now show you what US President Donald Trump's reaction has been. It's a sharp escalation of rhetoric, and US President Donald Trump says that he's looking for something better than a ceasefire in the raging Iran-Israel conflict. Speaking aboard Air Force One, he dismissed reports of rushing back from the G7 summit to broker peace, saying that what he wants is an end, a real end, not a ceasefire. Listen in.
Right now, we're doing pretty well. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
What was the thinking on the call for Tehran to evacuate? Is there a threat or is there incoming? What was the thinking on the full evacuation?
I want people to be safe. And that's always possible. A thing like that could happen. I just want people to be safe. Right now, we're doing pretty well. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
What was the thinking on the call for Tehran to evacuate? Is there a threat or is there incoming? What was the thinking on the full evacuation?
I want people to be safe. And that's always possible. A thing like that could happen. I just want people to be safe.
Now, viewers, the conflict in West Asia dominates the G7 summit that is happening in Canada. And now we are going to take a look at the analysis where the Arab nations moving forward to rapprochement, including with the Palestinians. The only way to block the understand is that Iranian influence has to be blocked and has worked relentlessly to undermine the peace process. We'll get you more analysis on that in this report from Republic Digital.
let's talk about de-escalation. You want to de-escalate? I tell all the leaders of the G7 now, who are convening in Canada, you want to de-escalate like we want to de-escalate? You want to de-escalate? Get the nukes out of Iran's hand. That's all there is to it. It's all very simple. Escalation means rushing to the bomb. Escalation means attacking us with missiles from all over. That's escalation. If you want to change the reality in the Middle East, with Israel and many, many Arab nations moving forward to rapprochement, including with the Palestinians, the only way is to block the Iranian influence. Because the Iranian influence has worked relentlessly to undermine any peace process, relentlessly to undermine any rapprochement between Israel and the Arab world, relentlessly, and they threaten leaders, and they radicalize, and they go to revolutions, and they use other proxies as their basis against Israel and against the United States and Western forces, because they want to seek dominance in the Middle East.
אנחנו פגענו בתחילת המלחמה בכוח, בעצם בבחירי המדענים. עד עכשיו חיסלנו 10, עוד היד נטויה, יש כמה שעוד נשלים אותם. אנחנו פגענו במתקן הגרעין העשרה המרכזי של איראן, נתנז, פגיעה קשה מאוד. אנחנו פעלנו נגד והשמדנו תעשיות ייצור צנטריפוגות. אני פשוט מקריא, מתקן המרת אורניום, שהוא חיוני לפריצת נשק לגרעין, גם בו פגענו, ועוד היד נטויה, אנחנו ממשיכים להשמיד מטרות גרעין באופן שיטתי.
Il y a deux choses. La première, le président s'est exprimé il y a quelques minutes pour dire qu'il y avait des discussions qui étaient en cours, ce qui est une bonne chose. Et donc, si les États-Unis d'Amérique peuvent obtenir un cessez-le-feu, c'est une très bonne chose. Et la France le soutiendra et nous le souhaitons. Qui se font contre des infrastructures énergétiques, administratives, culturelles et encore plus contre la population civile cessent. Rien ne les justifie, rien. Et elles sont, elles, absolument intolérables.
Well, it is really important that we focus on de-escalation because the risks of the conflict escalating are obvious across the region and beyond the region. The impact that this could and probably will have on Gaza, which is a tinderbox, and of course the impact on the economy. That is why at the G7 there's such a focus on de-escalation. That'll be an intense discussion for our talks today, but we have to find a way to de-escalate the situation, notwithstanding the concerns that we all have about the nuclear program. There's no doubt about that. Notwithstanding, we all accept Israel's right to self-defense, of course, but there must be de-escalation, and that will be the central focus of much of the discussion today.
Israeli claims of surgical strike is false and misleading. In contrast, it has launched a campaign of unlawful and indiscriminate attack targeting civilian infrastructure in Iran. Civilians were killed. Homes, hospitals, and other civilian infrastructure were destroyed. These are facts, not claims. Israel also targeted vital civilians and economic infrastructure. They are not accidents, they are war crimes. The Israeli regime has once again demonstrated that it is the foremost enemy of truth. It holds the disgraceful record of being the world's leading perpetrator of violence against journalists and media professionals. In response to this barbaric attack and aggression, Iran exercised its inherent right to self-defense in line with Article 51 of Charter. Our response was defensive, targeted, and proportionate. It is solely aimed at deterring and preventing the recurrence of such crimes. Iran will resolutely defend its security and territorial integrity. we focused only on military and economic assets involved in the aggression. Iran does not seek war or escalation, but we will not hesitate to defend our people, our territory, and our sovereignty.
Breaking news coming in right now, viewers. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has announced that today the Israel Defense Forces will strike very significant targets in Tehran. A big warning. It's a big signal, and it's an out-and-out statement in public by Israeli Defense Minister, who says that it will hit very, very significant targets in Tehran. Not to forget, him mentioning about the Fordo nuclear facility, saying that it's a matter that will certainly be addressed. Remember, Iran's Fordo fuel enrichment plant has been under massive scrutiny and been for the longest time on the target of the Israelis. And it was, of course, largely, there were a lot of talks about it in connection with the Iran nuclear deal as well. And it is a very well-protected nuclear facility as far as this Fordo nuclear site is concerned. So there will be many targets that will be hit today by the Israeli Defense Forces. That is what Israel Katz, who is the defense minister of the state of Israel, has warned. So this is not going down, viewers. This is only escalating. It's only intensifying. The Israeli strikes are only intensifying, and it is not going to stop Tehran's targets. More targets in Tehran will be hit, and that's why you see there is a massive evacuation that is happening from the city of Tehran. It's a warning is issued by Israel that that there could be strike on Iran's Fordo as well. Remember, there have been bunker buster strikes at several nuclear facilities and other targets. Missile launchers also been decimated by the Israel Defense Forces. And now, okay, my colleague Akanksha is joining us live on the broadcast for more. Akanksha, this is an underground nuclear complex as far as Fordo is concerned. It has been very heavily protected. It's very difficult to, in fact, blow it up. But now, given the fact that how the defense minister of Israel is saying that they will address the issue of Fordo as well, it in fact signals it could be imminent that they strike that nuclear facility and many such targets in Tehran.
Well, absolutely, Rakshita, as you rightly pointed out, Fordo nuclear site is very well protected. It is in the mountainous areas, also what we are learning, but a very specific and strong warning that has come from the Israeli defense minister. He said that, in fact, by tonight, very specific and significant targets in Iran will be targeted. There are 10 nuclear facilities around Tehran, and we are about to destroy these sites. So very clear warning by Israel to Iran just before they are saying that they are going to be launching this attack. And as you also pointed out, he said that the nuclear facility of Fordo is a matter that will certainly be addressed. And in fact, this site is very crucial because this is built inside a mountain and hardened against a bunker. Israel is keeping its eye on the Fordo nuclear site because in the last 5 days they have attacked several nuclear facilities, military bases, be it their top commanders, military commanders are also concerned. They have made precision strikes. Now next they are going to be targeting Fordo nuclear site. They have mentioned 10 nuclear sites are also under their scanner, but a strong warning given to Iran by Israel that tonight they are going to be hitting specific targets. So it remains to be seen what those targets will be, but it appears that it is going to be a very tough night for Iran.
Absolutely, a very secretive and most secretive and heavily protected nuclear facility that is Fordo could be now under the radar. Thank you so much, Akanksha, for joining us with those details coming on that breaking development, viewers. Now, US President Donald Trump has left the Group of Seven, the G7 summit in Canada, just a day early due to this situation in West Asia. French President Emmanuel Macron said that Trump had made an offer for a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. However, Trump has dismissed Macron's claim. Earlier, remember, Trump had urged everyone to immediately evacuate Tehran, reiterating that Iran should have signed a nuclear deal with the United States. He briefly spoke about his experience at the G7 summit also before he left for the United States. Here's more.
US President Donald Trump has left one day early from the G7 summit that is being held in Karnatakum of Canada. Due to the Israel-Iran conflict and the current situation in the Middle East, President Donald Trump headed back to the White House early. Speaking with the press at the G7 summit, Trump shared that he will be heading back after having dinner with the leaders.
Well, I have to be back. Very important. I want to just thank our great host. You did a fantastic show. Thank you, Canada. But you probably see what I see. I have to be back as soon as I can. I'm going to have dinner with these wonderful leaders, and then I get on the plane. I have to be back early.
President Trump reflected on the meeting and said that a lot got done. He said that the other leaders understand that he has to leave early. Trump was seen boarding an airplane at Calgary Airport to head back to the United States.
We're still in a short break, but we continue to track the latest coming in on the aviation sector crisis. Massive crisis hitting Air India. Multiple flights report technical snags and cancellations, and passengers have been left stranded. Also, Goa to Lucknow Indigo flight also faced mid-air turbulence. 10 minutes after the takeoff, pilot regains control, averts a major accident. More on the other side. Stay tuned.